And we should be live. Because our mics are on, they should be working. If anyone will let us know if it actually is working. Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping so.
I'm open so as well.
Yep, there we go.
Hey, we're here. Right, I'm just going to quickly double check our audio. Yep. Audio's working. We're all good.
Awesome.
There we go. A little bit of a delay. Okay, let me grab our chat real quick so that I can actually see it on my screen. There we go. And we'll say g'day to, and of course, James Randolph is the first one here.
We'll have to give you a front row seat from now on.
Oh, yeah. G'day, Elijah, G. Keyman. And we'll hopefully get a few more, although it is still pretty early over in the States at the moment. So, yeah, pretty early. But
that's okay. We'll get there.
We'll get there. We've got a lot to cover tonight.
Do we?
Maybe.
Hopefully we get plenty of questions.
Alright, hopefully our audio levels are all good and you can hear us clearly. Just let us quickly know in the comments. Make sure that you can hear us clear as possible. And it is pretty warm here as well at the moment, so that's why we're wearing singlets, because it's like 31 degrees down here. Currently, still, I think. Oh no, it's dropped down to 25. But this house holds the heat. So
Are we coming through with guys? Someone in the comments? Anyone?
I'll see you.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Elijah.
Thank you, mate. So yeah, it's been a while since we've done a live stream on here, so making sure that everything's set right is always a pain in the backside. I'm a little low. Alright. Oh, that's because I got my mic volume turned down. Let me quickly find where my mouse is hidden and turn my...
Yeah, I'll turn mine up a bit as well. That might help.
I'll turn my mic volume up a wee bit. Should be better. Alright. So, as promised, tonight we are going to be discussing a lot of information about social engineering. Although I think we kind of worked out before that people hacking would be a pretty good term for it.
That's it.
Yeah.
How we can hack James.
Wait, which James? Me or Randolph?
Either.
No, you can't hack me.
Why not?
Awesome. No idea.
You know that USB you put in your computer about 3 months ago? I've seen your browser history, James.
Sure. There's nothing exciting there. But, you know, we do have a lot of information to go over tonight. We're also going to have a lot of fun along the way. We're going to have some photos for you to go along with what we're talking about and discussing. And this is going to be like a introduction into what you can kind of expect, but in a lot more detail in the course that we run. So this is going to be like a little heads up for you, a little taste tester, an amused booth.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a matter of getting in and starting off and people understanding what it is. It's hard to get good help.
I know. Yeah, good thing they're not on the payroll. Maybe that's a form of social engineering, what we just saw there.
Are we hacking people?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think that's the type of social engineering we want to do. That's going to get you in jail.
Yeah.
Well, let's try social engineering in general.
Yeah. So, yeah, so this is going to be like a little taste tester and a little bit of information to make.
It's more to get it out there so people know and understand what social engineering is, because not a lot of people do.
No, unfortunately, they don't. I want to move my microphone a little bit further away from the computer, so hopefully you're not going to pick up too much audio in the background. So yeah, not a lot of people do know much about social engineering. They've probably heard of it in passing, but they don't actually quite understand how much stuff it involves. So hopefully this will be a little bit of insight into it, and then it'll give you a bit more of a understanding if you actually really want to dive into this in our online course that we provide or the in-person training that we do as well. So yeah, we'll dive into quite a lot. There's going to be some a lot of information to cover. There's going to be some. We've got some, as I said, photos for you to look at. Some funny ones, and some that will kind of make you go, "Oh, okay, that's how I check for it."
Yep.
And we also got some scenarios.
Sorry, Jay. There's no good talking about these things if you can't put measures in place to counteract it or be aware of what is going on in relation to social engineering. People need to understand that this is what it is. This is how people use it. And then you need to be able to put measures in place to, I can't say eliminate it because human people are the biggest problem in any business. We all have emotions and that's what gets us into trouble.
Yep.
But there is other measures, and a lot of it starts here with what we're doing, training and information, making people aware of what it is, what to look for, and being mindful that what you do has a big reaction to stopping a lot of this from happening. Not just being click happy with emails, James. We don't just go clicking stuff, do we?
No.
No.
I screenshot emails because some of them that I get sent through, especially after we do talks like this, whenever we do talks on social engineering, whenever we do discussions or I do a video about cybersecurity stuff, I always get some really nice emails afterwards of people trying to scam or fish or try and extort stuff out of you, which is quite interesting when you look at it. But we are going to discuss about the different terminologies for all this stuff. And as I said, I've got a photo of an email that I received a couple of days back, which I had a big laugh at. And most people might see it and go, oh, wait, no, I didn't do that. But we're going to show you how you can actually tell if it's real or not.
And that's the thing, like, the whole idea of tonight is for people to ask questions.
Yep, get that chat going.
I've done a lot of social engineering in relation to repossessions, trying to get schedules of people that we were looking for out of businesses was hard. Getting into places, like some of the jobs that we had to go and do were in gated communities. So things like tailgating, and we'll discuss some of these methods a bit later. But if you're trying to be a delivery person, and that also includes pretexting, which we'll discuss a bit later as well, having a good cover story. You need to be and act as if you belong there. Because if you get nervous and people get stuff on you, that's when you're going to fall apart. Your story won't stick. And some of the photos that James has got set up for a bit later will show how having an adequate cover story works really well. And as James said to me a bit earlier today when we were getting this already, the high vis just makes you invisible. It's an invisibility cloak. Everyone says a high vis nowadays, and that's it. They just assume that they're supposed to be there.
Yeah, I did have a bit of fun with that one, didn't I?
Just a little.
um,
So to that's like, if there's people out there that've got questions, please ask them in the chat. We'll try and get through as much as we can and try and answer what we can. We aren't experts in this. This is something that takes many, many years to master. It's not something you can read a book about and walk into a business and start reverse engineering a person. You have to have an understanding of the business. So we'll talk about OSINT a bit later, open source intelligence, doing your background research and learning about the company that you're dealing with or the people that you're dealing with. Knowing the business that they work at, what their job roles are. Then we'll look at some reconnaissance and see what's the best way. When does a business open? When do they close? Who's there on open? When do the cleaners come in? Do they have security? If they have security, when does security get there? When do they sign off? Who's the security company? Is it somebody that's a locally known company that you might be able to get hold of some information from somebody else? There's a lot of stuff out there that comes into social engineering. It's not a 5-minute thing that you can just go and do. It takes many, many years because you as the individual that is socially engineering somebody needs to be confident in your own abilities to know and understand.
It's something that needs to be practiced. A lot of pen testers will tell you that they get caught as soon as they gain access into a facility. Adrenaline kicks in. They start to get panicky and they start to stress and they start to get nervous and all this stuff because they're like, oh my God, I just got through the first barrier and got into the building. And, you're that pumped up that all of a sudden you're giving yourself away. So that's why a lot of pen testers always tell you when you get into a facility, first thing you want to do, go straight to the bathroom. Go lock yourself in the toilet for a few minutes, calm your nerves back down, drop your stress levels back down, clear your head, and then get back into it. Because a lot of people
have something to eat and drink. Get some sugars back in your system.
Yep.
It's really important that you understand the psychological and the physiological effects that adrenaline has on your body. Knowing when you get that adrenaline dump of actually getting in there, what's your body going to do? Are you going to start sweating? Are you going to get nauseous? Are you going to shake? Adrenaline has a lot of different responses for a lot of people. You need to understand what it's going to do to you in that circumstance so you can try and combat it before you move on to the next stage of your job.
Yep. Because that's the thing. That's why most people get caught is that adrenaline rush and giving yourself away. As we will discuss later on, with your timings of stuff, your answers to why you're there, your responses, they can't be way too fast, they can't be way too slow. You can't go be like, because you're going to give yourself away. That's for physical injuries kind of things.
That comes back to the type of person as well, James. Like you need to be able to think on your feet. You need to be able to go, okay, this is not what I need. How am I going to get past this person? What's this person expecting from me? And what can I give them to get through the next step? Do I throw someone's name out there? Do I have a letter confirming me being there? Am I part of a company that's supposed to be there? Do I need an authorization letter to be there? There's all these types of things that you need to do and work out prior to you doing that engagement. You need to know as much information as possible and play the what if game. What happens if I do get caught? What am I going to tell this person? What if I actually come across the person I'm impersonating?
Yep.
How am I going to get out of that? And we always want to do it legally. So we're always going to make sure that somebody in that business knows what we're doing. They know when we've got on site, when we've got off site, and make it something that we can deal with if we do unfortunately get caught out. So I think we're sort of fumbled around this enough, James, we might as well make a bit of a start. We've got a few people sitting there watching at the moment, so
Yep, that's what I was just waiting on
we'll
to. I just put out a comment down there for people to get some questions coming in for us. But we do, as I keep saying, we do have a lot of stuff to cover because a lot of people don't realise is that the term social engineering is an umbrella term which covers a lot of stuff. From, as we just discussed quickly, physical entry, to cyber attacks, to information gathering, to there's a lot of different multi-facets that actually social engineering covers. So, yeah, this afternoon, or tonight, I should say, tonight for us, mornings for some people, afternoons for some other places. We're going to dive into the fascinating and often alarming world of social engineering. So grab yourselves a cup of coffee if you haven't got one already, because it's going to be a very interesting and long-ish video, because we do have a lot to cover. But as I keep saying, this isn't going to be like... This is going to be a taste tester of what we put into our course. So when we do the course, we teach a lot more, and we get you to practice these forms, not all of these forms of attacks, but practice these interactions, and we also go into a lot more detail of what questions to ask, what to look out for, and stuff like that. We'll briefly touch on it a little bit in this, but
you're really lucky because you're going to get both sides of the fence with me, because it's that whole lead up of how to do it. And then from my security background, what to look for, what are people going to ask you, what would security or senior management or the receptionist or whoever's there dealing with you as a social engineer, what are they going to ask you? What are they going to be looking out for? Yeah. So feel free to ask whatever questions. If I can answer them, I will. If not, it's something we'll look into and definitely get back to it. We can always reply to the comments with your questions. If we can't answer it now, we can find out and definitely get back through the comment systems. Make it a bit easier.
Yep. And also this video is a great video for you to share around with your businesses that you work for, organisations you know, groups and stuff like that. The last video that we did where we briefly, for a small section of it, discussed about some social engineering attacks had been used for, we got messages sent in to us that our video got used for training for new staff in a business. And that was a brief little talk on it. So us discussing it tonight in a lot more detail is going to be a lot more beneficial for businesses to start getting you really thinking about it. And of course, the best way to actually learn about this stuff and how to fight against it is to hire us to come in and train your business or organisation. So, Daryl, I'm going to get you to quickly, if you can quickly, because it's pretty hard quickly,
That's it.
define it simply what social engineering is.
Yeah, look, we'll try and keep it as simple as possible, but at the end of the day, social engineering is manipulating or using manipulative techniques to be able to exploit the human being. So you as an individual. So what we're looking for or trying to do is to trick somebody to giving out information. Good example of that is a schedule. A lot of client or someone who's going to do pen testing might want to know when the CEO's in or the chief information technologist is in, because we might be looking to try and gain access to get into a server room. So we need to know when these critical people aren't going to be there or when they are going to be there. Or it could be to try and get the receptionist to provide us with sensitive information that they're not generally supposed to give out to the general public. Or even giving us access to places that we shouldn't get access to. It also helps leverage the human elements rather than the technical vulnerabilities. We did speak a little bit about trying to gain access or putting phishing emails in place, that's only part of the job. We want to try and gain access to places we can't generally get to. So can we convince the receptionist to let us into the back room? Can we be a delivery person and get an employee to hold the door for us? We might have a box or 2 boxes in our arms, clipboard under our arm, high vis vest on, try and do a delivery. You go around the back door, see an employee go back in through a personal access door and say, hey, mate, can you just hold that door for us? I can't hold the door and carry this in at the same time. And human nature generally is not to question things. They will just hold the door because they're trying to be nice. They're trying to help you out.
Yep.
And that's pretty much as easy as we can make it. It's basically just getting somebody to do something that they're not supposed to do. So hopefully that's a simplified answer for you guys. Hopefully a couple of those examples will help you understand what we're trying to do with social engineering. The success on successfully being a social engineer is to relies heavily on you and your abilities to understand how the human exploit and weaknesses work. So can we work on emotion? Is there a female receptionist that you might be able to manipulate a little bit by giving her a sob story for why you're there and why you need to get to where you need to be, and sort of use her motherly instincts and build up a scenario or a story around that. So social engineering is a little bit different to traditional hacking, where traditional hacking we use things like breaking in, dropping USBs out the front, hoping someone will pick it up and plug it into their computer for a reverse shell. It's just basically an additional step to get into somewhere else to be able to do those other technical things.
Yep. Although in saying that as well, so social engineering, as we keep discussing, involves a lot of human psychology, and as you say, people want to be helpful and stuff like that. So the USB drop out in the car park, we actually use statistics to our advantage, because 46% of people, now 46% is a lot of people, stated if they found a USB sitting out in a car park at their business, that they would plug it into a computer at their work to see who it belongs to so they can try and give it back to them. So you have, let's say, 100 staff members working for your business. We go and throw 5, 6 USB rubber duckies out in the car park. 46% of a chance is a pretty good chance that someone's going to find one and go, oh, wonder who that belongs to. Pick it up and take it into work. So again, we're using human psychology, we're using the fact that people want to be helpful, and the fact that we're using statistics to our advantage. So if you ever see a USB sitting in a car park, don't plug it in.
Waiting.
Unless if you see us hanging around doing it, plug it in.
Yeah, definitely.
Help us out. As we always say to security guards when we teach them, if you see us trying to get access into a building, we're not there. Ignore us.
And that sort of leads us into the next sort of stage of social engineering, and that's the type of attacks that the attacker can use. Things like phishing emails, like that is the most common, or the easiest way to get somebody to do something is click on a link. Yep. You see it all the time. Like my inbox gets spammed so much with phishing emails.
I'll bring up a photo of one. And I'll show you
it's one of those things. It just
section of it first. So this is one that got sent in to me. This is a screenshot of a phishing email that got sent to me. It was always after I do a discussion about ones that I get nice little emails like this. So do you want to quickly explain about that one, Daryl?
Yeah, so a lot of times attackers will use photos, links, PDF attachments as a way of putting malware on your system. So they're expecting you, and if it's to a legitimate business, having a tax invoice is the best way because they're going to open it up, or even a quote, or an onboarding questionnaire. Just something to get someone to open it. And basically, what they do is they attach the malware to that link or the PDF or the photo. And once you open it, it then initiates the malware, putting a backdoor or reverse shell on your computer, allowing the hacker or attacker to have control of your system. So you've just got to be mindful. Have you recently sent out an invoice? Are you expecting to receive an invoice from somebody? If you're not, just be mindful of it. I didn't ask, I didn't purchase anything.
An iPhone
Why am
16
I
Pro
getting sent?
Max.
And then, sorry?
That invoice is a PayPal invoice for an iPhone 16 Pro Max. I don't like Apple.
Yep.
I like Android. And I always make that clear that I like Android.
Yep.
So I know for a fact that that one was BS, but there's also another big reason why I know that was BS, which we will go into later on when we discuss how you can actually look out for attacks like this. So I won't discuss that, but just to show you, this is actually a phishing email that got sent out that I received. Remove that off screen for now.
It's one of those things. It's not just emails nowadays too. It's SMSs. So the old text message. A lot of marketing and those types of places are using your phone numbers as a way of communication and sending spam stuff. Government agencies. We're using a system called Pegasus, which was a one-click application. Basically, they could take over your phone without you even knowing.
Yep.
Speaking of purchase it.
Speaking of phishing ones, is it was for a MyGov link that got sent from a number that I didn't recognise. From MyGov.
We'll talk about ATO breaches later.
Yeah, that was just one I got. Why can't I contact you on WhatsApp?
Yeah. Do you use WhatsApp?
Yeah, I do.
Ooh.
Yes, I do. WhatsApp business.
Nice. And it's one of those things that you've got to stop and look at what they're sending you. Is it something that you use every day? Is it something that you might just have installed once? You've just got to be so careful nowadays with any correspondence. If your gut instinct tells you there's something not right about it, generally there's something not right about it. Yeah. So phishing emails, text messages, these are the most common ways that hackers are going to try and get access to your information or your computer. Attackers send really descriptive emails that seem to be legitimate sources to track recipients in revealing sensitive data. They try to use phishing websites, so common banks like ANZ, BBA here in Australia, all those types of things. What they will do is they will clone the login pages of those common banks and set them up on domain names very similar. So I'll use the ANZ, for example, here in Australia, it's anz.com.au. They may have purchased a domain name called anz.com and just gone au.anz.com. Now, they own that website. It's got a cloned login page from the real site. It looks legit. The only way that you can tell that it is different is from the URL on the top of your browser. They do this to try and get your login credentials because we know unfortunately, a lot of people have the same username and passwords for everything. And they are simple passwords because we're creatures of habit
Yep.
and don't want to have to remember 50,000 passwords. And I'm guilty of it myself. I use a couple of different variants of passwords, but hell, doing this job, you just, people are lazy.
We actually have a product that we sell, which I haven't sold any in a little while, and I probably need to order in some more stock to make. But our little, not the author, the captive portal, that is a phishing attack because that puts out a similar aspect to a website, but that puts out and we use it in establishments. We run it at the hospital, we'll run it wherever we want. Wherever we're doing a job legally, we'll run it. We don't just run it because we can. We have to have a legitimate legal reason to do it. But the captive portal, the 2.0, puts out a Wi-Fi network. It says free Wi-Fi. So people go, oh, look, free Wi-Fi, and they can see it on their phone. They click on it, and it brings up a phishing page that says, in order, like what the hospitals use when you get onto free Wi-Fi at the hospital, it'll bring up a page that says, please create a login, a username login. So that hospitals, some of them will only allow you to use the internet for free for 2 hours, 3 hours. So you got to create a login. And what this does is it makes you create a login to access the free Wi-Fi. So it says put in an email address and a password. And as Daryl just said, everyone uses the same email address for everything, and more than likely they use the same passwords for a lot of things as well. So we put out the... Why is there a distorted second voice? Might be...
Yeah, you're having a reverb or something, James.
That's what I'm just thinking. I think it's coming off my laptop, so if I turn my laptop's volume down a bit. How's that? Is it a little bit...
There's a little bit still there.
Feedback on Daryl's. Yeah, I can hear it coming through yours.
Is it?
Yep.
How's that? Is that better?
Talk. Let us know in the comments.
Yep.
So as I was saying, ours, puts out, people use the same passwords, but use the same email. And then it comes up with a page saying authenticating your account, please wait, and you'll be connected to the internet. But it never goes anywhere. You just sit on that one page. And it sends us your email address and the password that you just put in. Which more than likely, if this is at your workplace, we now have your email address you use at your workplace and your password, which is more than likely the one that you use to log into the computers. But it looks legitimate.
You can take it one step further. Like, if you guys go out and, so go to Macca's, for example, sit down, log on to their free Wi-Fi. We can use the captive portal, rename it directly as Macca's Wi-Fi or whatever they use their Wi-Fi name for, and your phone automatically saves those credentials. So it will automatically connect to it, and then it's going to come up to that login page for Macca's again. And because you've done it so many times, you're just naturally going to put in your details to connect. So it makes it so much easier.
The Wi-Fi pineapple. The Wi-Fi pineapple is a great one for phishing attacks when it comes to that, because you can spoof and see what people are looking at, and stuff like that. So that is a great phishing attack form. Yep. But there's more than phishing attacks. So what's the next one that people...
So pretexting. I used to use this a lot when I was doing repossessions. Pretexting it's a tactic used to create a fabricated scenario to obtain information. So, for example, you might call a victim pretending to be their bank or IT, especially if that business has had issues, or once again, we can use technology. If we use devices to interfere with their Wi-Fi connections, then they're going to have problems. They might be looking to to have their IT guys come in. Using the pre-texting allows you to be able to verify someone's identity as well. Does this person work here? I had a phone call from Joe Bloggs. He's from the accounting department. Is he in today? I was returning his call. And they might go, no, sorry, he's not in today, but he's in tomorrow. We've just confirmed, one, that he works there, and two, that he's in tomorrow. So that pre-texting, it helps you to be able to get a lot of information, but you need to do your research prior. You need to know all about the establishment that you're working with, the people that work there. And that could be as simple as a week earlier, you've gone in to the business. You may have asked to see some brochures. You may have asked to get some information. Hell, you could have even asked to go to the toilet. So you can just have a walk around and see what's there, who's there. Because a lot of businesses are really great with customer service. They want people to have a really good experience. So name badges on people. We know who you met at the front door, who the receptionist is. A lot of businesses that have desks will have that person's name on a placard on their desk. And hopefully as you're walking past the desk, they've got a little sticky note with their username and password attached in plain sight for you to have a look at too.
Yeah.
Happens a lot.
Sometimes I have that on the computer. Yep.
So pre-texting is really important to gather information and confirm what you may have found as well. So you could have started doing some online OSINT, found out who works at the company, the hierarchy of who is who. And that could be as simple as starting off on their company website. A lot of large companies nowadays have view our team, who's part of our team, and have links to their social medias, email addresses, and then put that through some software to pull down some more data. So you might get an employee's LinkedIn username. You can put that through. There's a lot of various websites.
What's my name?
Sorry?
What's my name?
Yeah, there's a lot of websites that you can use to then find what other social media platforms that username's registered with.
The only reason why I have what's my name pop into my head is because it's right at the top of my tabs on my bookmarks is what's my name.
Yeah, so there's a lot of websites that you can use out there to gather all this information, but it's somewhere to start. It's also a way to verify what you've already found out. So pre-texting, it's a really good way of getting your foot in the door and just staying to confirm what you found. Then we have baiting. So as James was talking about earlier, the old USB stick just laying around. Human nature. Sorry?
Rubber duckies.
Yeah.
They seem so innocent, don't they? They really do. You hear the word rubber ducky, you don't think, oh, geez, that's something I'll be worried about. You know, it's like, oh, it's a little duck, it's fine.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things you can do. You can just drop a blank USB and hope that somebody's just got enough nerve to plug it in, or they're inquisitive enough to go, what's this? Whose is it? Or they might be a good Samaritan and go, oh, I'll find out whose USB this is. It might have some information on there for me to return it to the owner. Or another good little trick is to put on there something like payroll 2025, budgeting for 2025. I'm sure if you wanted to know if you're going to get a pay rise next year at work, you're going to stick it in and have a look and see what's on there.
Yeah, no, Darren, we're not getting one.
Using things like that to be able to put a backdoor on someone's system is another way that attackers can use engineering or social engineering to get into a business, or even just a foot through the door.
The other good thing for us, but it's also shocking to a lot of people as well, is there's more than just USBs these days. You can get phone charging cables that look literally like a phone charging cable, and you cannot tell the difference just looking at it. And you're like, oh, sweet, I scored a phone charging cable. It's nothing but to worry about that. I'm going to plug that into the computer to charge my phone.
Yep. So at the pubs that I work at doing security, we actually offer a service for people to bring their phones up to the counter, and we will plug it in, charge them for 20 minutes. And that's the perfect opportunity to be able to use something like the OMG cable and put a backdoor on their phone or scrape the data off their phone.
No, we're not sending out weird stuff. I was just reading the comment then.
Right.
Maybe YouTube is not liking what we're saying. Maybe YouTube's phishing and
Ooh,
spying.
they're using AI now.
Oh. Yeah,
They've seen your
that's
face
later
change
on.
and they've gone, no.
That's later on in the discussion, AI.
Yeah, that's it. We'll get to and it's one of those things like, as an attacker or a pen tester, you need to stay up to date with the changing trends. Things change all the time. You need to stay up to date with that. Getting funky.
Getting funky.
Everybody's getting funky tonight. Tailgating. It's another way we can gain access to a building or into a complex.
Tailgating is a lot of fun.
Sorry?
Tailgating can be a lot of fun to play around
Oh,
with.
definitely.
It's also something that a lot of people do at workplaces. Say, for example, with my workplace, we have a meeting and then we all go off to our areas. And of course, the first one that gets to the door opens the door and lets the other staff members through. If you're polite like me, I always let the ladies through first and then shut the door before the guys come up. But yeah, it is something that we naturally do and a lot of people don't look out for. And it's also a good way if you go to a caravan park, and this is how we've done it as well, when they only give you a code and say one vehicle only at a time. So you kind of like sit up against each other and then first person types in the code, you both drive through at the same time. Especially when you've got visitors and they don't want to park in the visitors' place because your cabin is right at the other end of the caravan park.
Yep. I used to do it a lot when I was doing repos to get into underground car parks and all that. We used to just stand up over the opposite side to where the access door to the underground garage was and wait for someone to go in. As the roller door would go up, you'd allow them to drive in, and 9 times out of 10, instead of stopping and waiting for the roller door to come down before they drive off, they just drive and keep going. And we just walk in.
Yep.
And then walk around the underground car park looking for the vehicle that we wanted. And once we'd found the vehicle, it was as simple as calling a tow truck, meeting them at the roller door and using the access door to come in so they can determine what they needed to do. And then we can just open the door manually from the inside, because they've got to have manual overrides, whether that's an automatic door, automatic roller door, or the old chain system where you disengage the motor and pull it open with a chain.
Yep.
A lot of places are getting a little bit smarter with that now and putting an override key on there. So you have to put a key in, turn the key before you actually use the electric roller door. But once again, too, that whole part of the mechanical roller door, they tried putting padlocks on there, but people aren't very smart. They'll go to Bunnings, buy a master lock and smash it on there, and we know where master lock ends up. So yeah, there's ways around all sorts of things. Once again, as I spoke earlier about having packages, that's another form of tailgating, getting someone to hold the door open while you walk in.
Wait up, I got a box. I'm carrying a couple of boxes. Can you help me in? I can't get the door.
Definitely. So basically, tailgating is just an attacker being able to gain unauthorized access to restricted areas by following an authorized person. And generally, you see this in workplaces or in secured residential buildings. So
the other downside to tailgating and what makes it extremely easy to do as well is the fact that a lot of big businesses and a lot of big workplaces and stuff like that will have, if they've got multiple areas and stuff like that, they'll have visitor badges. So you might have a contractors in, let's say you're getting some offices painted. So you got painters come in, they will get given a visitor's badge. Now, they might not know the codes to get through the doors. Because, visitors, you don't give them the codes to gain access to the whole facility. So they're wearing a visitor's badge, they've got paint tins or whatever it is coming in and out. So people are going to open the doors and let them through. It'll be like, oh, I need to get into that area. Can you hold the door open for me? You look like you got a visitor's badge. It's quite easy. If we've done our research, we literally look, we make a copy of a version of a visitor's badge. We look at who the painters are or the people that they got in, contractors, and we'll literally put on a pair of overalls, a couple of paint tins, which are hiding electronics in them, visitor's badge on, and pretend we're there working with them and tailgate in. And a lot of people don't realise because they see visitor's badge. Oh, I already saw contractors in. Okay, you must be part of the contractors. Okay, yep, fine, that's all good. We'll let you tailgate and follow us in. Because people don't think about it.
No, that's it. And it's really, really hard. People just don't like to step up to somebody and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you here? They don't want to create conflict. They don't want to have someone turn around and bite them back and go, oh, it's none of your business.
Yep.
Or we're just contractors. Human nature is not to get into an argument.
A good example of not getting into an argument was I had this isn't to do with social engineering, but the show uses human psychology where people don't want conflict. I was doing an automotive lockout. Getting dark, didn't have any of my business logoing on, didn't have any of my work clothing. Getting dark, out in a car park, out the front of a large facility. It started to drizzle a bit, so I just had a black hoodie on. I threw the hoodie up over the top of my head just to get the rain off my head. And here I am, with a pump wedge and a long reach tool, getting into a car out the front of a facility. I had 4 staff members walk straight past and go, "G'day," and keep walking. Not one of them asked what I was doing. I was actually expecting cops to get called on me because I didn't have any of the business logoing, so people didn't know I was there as a locksmith. For all they know, I could have been there as someone just trying to steal a car. They had no idea. But not one person asked or questioned why I was there.
Yeah, and that comes back to what I was saying earlier as well. If you look like you should belong there and you act like you should be there, most people aren't going to even question you.
But I didn't look like I should have been there, and I didn't look like I belonged there.
Criminal.
I look like a criminal breaking into a car because I'm all in black with a hood over my head and a car window or car door, fiddling around with long reach metal poles. Like, no one questioned me because they didn't want to cause conflict. Again, it's human psychology.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, it's all about understanding the human being. What makes a person tick? How do people think? And then exploiting it.
Yep.
Is this person a vulnerable person? Can I use emotions to be able to get what I want from this person? Well, it sort of leads us into the next bit of who are the type of people that use social engineering.
Yep.
Of course, the top of the list has got to be the cyber criminal. The old hacker that wants to get, whether it's billions of dollars, who wants to get to databases to collect your credit cards, your passwords, financial details, all that sort of stuff.
The movie Hackers is they have an example of that right at the start of the movie Hackers. Now, again, the movie Hackers is, it's not real. It's not realistic, I should say. With a lot of things, it's like a cult classic movie. But the guy rings up and goes, "Oh yeah, my name's blah blah blah. I'm just trying to remote in from home, and there's the box there. It's got a number on the back. Can you read it out for me so I can get access? So they wanted this fixed up, and I can't get into the office." And used a person as the weakest link to gain access. So cyber criminals, they do use social engineering to gain access in that aspect of it. So yeah, cyber criminals, again, the weakest link isn't so much always the computers and the firewalls and all that. It might not be the weakest link. It's usually the person that gives you access without them realizing they just gave you access.
At the end of the day, who operates that computer? A human. Are they inquisitive? Yes, they can be. And that's generally why people click on links. And it comes back, and we'll talk a little bit more about this a bit later when we get to methods and technology and techniques to be able to minimise these phishing emails and all that. It's training and education. It's teaching people what to look out for, and that's what we're here to do. We're trying to get as much information out there to people so they understand what these criminals are doing to get access to your data, your personal information, and your money.
Yep, because each
there's a lot of
technique,
other
each technique
that-
there was.
Go, James.
Speaking of hackers, so each technique that we discuss in this reveals, the vulnerabilities in everyday interactions, and why we're emphasizing this, and why it's a growing need for awareness and education on these issues. So that's why we're doing this, and why we're not deep diving, but like a shallow dive up to your knees into this and all the stuff that we're going through. But a lot of people, when they think of social engineering, I don't know, a lot of people I've spoken to, they go, "What's social engineering?" I'm like, "Oh, it's manipulation of people." And they're like, "Oh, but so that's got nothing to do with cybersecurity, is it?" And I'm like, you'd be surprised.
Yep. And that sort of, your cyber criminals, they're the top of the food chain when it comes to these techniques. Scammers, they come in second best. You see it all the time where people are trying to scam money out of everybody, whether that's from a romantic relationship, trying to get attached to somebody to get them to send money overseas. I actually know a few people personally that have been scammed that way, where they got on the chat, starting to talk to people and build up that trust and relationship. And next thing you know, they're, "Oh, can you send me some money to come over? I'll come over and see you." And next thing you know, something else will come up. Then they're trying to get more and more money. And because there's that emotional connection already, they keep sending money. And then all of a sudden, when the money stops or they realise, well, I've sent all this money, why are you not coming over now? That's when the scammers stop doing it. So romance is a big way.
Biggest criminal being the government.
Sorry?
I was just reading Lockpicking Engineer. The biggest criminal being the government.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bloody oath. They will spy on you all the time. I actually had a discussion the other day. We were talking about some stuff. And next thing you know, our phone comes up with ads. Or you go into Facebook and there's ads come up about what you were just talking about. They're obviously always looking and listening. So your scammers come in. You've got your government agencies, espionage, those types of things where other companies are trying to get the latest technology, Bill Gates and Apple and Facebook and I said come in there, TikTok. We've got a lot of big businesses all trying to get information, because once you've got information, you can then market to people. So it's not necessarily about money. I'll try to get James to try and scam you guys so as we can get some more likes and some subscribes and, get up over that 5K mark. But he just won't be in it. He wants to do it naturally. Then you've got us, pen testers. We use social engineering to do our job because it then finds weaknesses so we can then go back to the businesses and go, "Hey, look, you need our services to train your people." Yep. It's okay to have systems in place, but to actually adhere to those systems. I've done a lot of training over the years where there's been policies, procedures, you get people to sign off on them and they still don't follow them. We have a oh, I'm guilty of it myself. We have a policy in place at work where doing security, we have to have body cams. They must be worn while we do our job. I sort of bend that just a little bit by not having it turned on. So having policies and procedures is great, but you need to make sure that your employees follow those policies and procedures and actually put them in place.
There's a reason why yours isn't turned on.
Yes, there is a reason why it's not turned on, but we won't go into that.
It's so you can go to the bathroom in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salespeople. I just mentioned marketing. Salespeople, telemarketers, they use social engineering to try and get you to buy something. It could be by creating a sense of urgency. So you must buy this. This is going to end in 2 hours. If you don't buy this now, you'll never see this product again.
Or the one that I kind of rubbed the girl's nose in it a bit. It actually happened to me twice. One of them was down in Melbourne when I was down there just before Christmas. Went down for dinner and stuff like that, and we were going through all the shops and stuff, having a look around because it's just before Christmas time. It's packed down in Melbourne, lots of sales, and not only did everyone move out of my way because by all accounts I looked like a security guard when I was walking around down there, or a bodyguard. I even had a lady who was older than me bump into me and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir." And what are you calling sir? I'm a lot younger than you by the looks of it, trust me. But we went into Myers and I was having a look at some of the colognes and stuff like that since I've been going through a bit of a cologne buying phase. And one of the ladies, she's like, "Oh, have you smelt this one?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I haven't." Because I went in there to look at one, but I couldn't justify spending that much for it. So this lady, salesperson, trying to convince me. And she goes, "Oh, you look really cool." She goes, "I love your sunnies." She goes, "And you dressed up really nicely." And I'm like, that stuff doesn't work on me. I'm like, I know you're trying to, suck up to me, use emotions, saying, I look good, I'll smell nice because of the cologne I was wearing. My sunnies are cool, whatever. I'm like, the sales pitch trying to sweet talk me doesn't work on me, trust me. I know what you're trying to do. And she's like, oh, okay. She goes, "But have you smelled this one?" I said, "Look, I'll go and smell that one." I said, "But don't try and suck up because it ain't going to make me buy anything." I'm like, it might work on other people, but I didn't teach people about this stuff, so don't even try it. And then again, another one in town here, went to look at some colognes, and the lady's like, "Oh, have you smelt this one?" I'm like, "Oh, it's not really my kind of thing." She goes, "Oh, what do you like?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got Spice Bomb by Victor and Rolf, and I've got Azado Wanted by Night." She goes, "Oh, you like the expensive stuff?" She goes, "You like the real spicy?" She goes, "Oh, you're a man of great taste." And I went, "Look, it don't work on me. Sorry, but it don't work. You're hot, but it don't work."
Yep.
And I'm like, I've just got to get what I've wanted down here. Thank you. I'm going. But again, salespeople, so they're trying to play on emotions. They're trying to, convince you that you're good looking, you might smell nice, you're well presented, all this, to make you go, you're being nice. Oh, if I buy this, you might, like me, kind of thing. It's all social engineering. And a lot of people don't realize that whole part of upselling is a big thing of social engineering because it's something that we deal with every day. It's something that we see every day, but we don't look at it as in it's a part of social engineering. Colognes, DALP Phillies Hill. Yes, I've got over $700 worth now. And I've got another one on the way. I've got what am I up to now? 6 colognes. And I'm waiting on my 7th. Or am I on 7? Might be on 7. I'm waiting on my 8th.
So that sort of leads us into the next part. Is the psychological aspect and the principles behind social engineering. The effectiveness of social engineering really depends on a few psychological principles and understanding how those principles can be recognised to manipulate someone. And you were just talking about it then, trust, building up trust with the person that you're dealing with, telling them they look good, they smell good, these are ways that somebody can build trust up with you. You've got about 30 seconds in a conversation for somebody to trust you. They're either going to like you or dislike you from that point. So we need to get that trust built really quickly. So an attacker can exploit that trust
Cult
by
leaders
using.
exploit that trust.
Sorry?
Cult leaders exploit that trust.
Yeah, definitely. So the tendency for humans to believe what others say is the biggest way to get that trust. So if we tell somebody that, we want them to believe what we're saying. Scammers offers use that, as in they will try and be Microsoft or one of the other big companies like
Norton is a big one.
Virus company, yeah, Norton.
Norton, I get a lot of.
Yeah, they'll use those trusted names and brands to try and build up that trust relationship between you and them to get them to feel more comfortable with you. And then they sort of use urgency as well. So if you don't do this now, this isn't gonna, your computer's going to be affected. You're going to lose all your data to these hackers. So creating a sense of urgency is another power tactic. Attackers claim that things will happen immediately if you don't do what they want there and then to avoid the consequences. Then this is going to happen. Effectively, your data is going to be breached. When in actual fact, it's them.
They also fake the urgency of it with saying they've just sent you an email from your own email address, and it says from your email address. So let's say Dark Arts Lockpicking email address. So they'll send you one from Dark Arts Lockpicking, and it might have your thumbnail and everything like that. And it's like, we installed this Trojan horse into your system, and if you do not pay us $4 billion in Bitcoin or whatever, blah, 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 which makes you panic and go, yeah, they've sent it from me, to create that urgency that, oh, shoot, my system's been compromised, when probably hasn't. More than likely hasn't.
And then that's what leads us into the next one. This is right down your alley, James. Scarcity. We were just talking about colognes and having all this cologne. And salespeople use it all the time. So the principle of scarcity is where people perceive there to be a limited availability. So there's only 15 products made. We've only got 3 left. If you don't buy it now, you'll never see this product again. So DALP's cologne just goes through the roof, and he's buying thousands of dollars of cologne.
Although in saying that, I actually got one of the ladies, because one I was looking for, they didn't have in the store, and she checked the computer and she goes, "We don't have any anywhere." I'm like, that's okay. Don't worry. And she goes, "Oh, your kids go to the school?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I thought I'd seen you up there." She goes, "If we get any in stock," she goes, "I'll see you up at the school. I'll let you know." I'm like, "Thanks." Get out and shop, walk right down the other end of the road, down to the vehicle, hop in. I'm like, bugger it. Hop back out, go all the way back up there and bought the one that I was looking at anyway. That I didn't actually want. I wanted the other one. But yeah,
that's it.
It's scarcity, making it like, we only got 3 left. If you don't get it now, that's it. An easy way to look at scarcity and to think about it is a discount sale, right? This code only lasts for 24 hours or 48 hours. Get in now. Black Friday sale. I'm not saying that these are these are scamming or
marketing is about scamming individuals.
But yeah, so Black Friday sales. For the next 12 hours, prices are down by 25%. That kind of stuff. It's making that scarcity. It's as Daryl saying, colognes. That's not just my weakness. Lock picks, anything to do with hacking. There's a lot of weaknesses for me. And one of scarcity that actually really did make me buy it was a bottle of scotch, because it was the last bottle that they had anywhere of this scotch, because the COVID went through the facility and no one had any bottles of it. And I really wanted it, so I got the very last bottle, even though I probably shouldn't have because of how expensive it was. But they used scarcity because there was no others. And I'm like, actually, there really isn't. I looked into it. So that kind of works for me. Beautiful scotch, by the way. If anyone wants to bribe us, Lagavulin, 16-year-old. Or you could be, that I got expensive taste. Daryl is cheap. He likes Jameson. Social
Do I need to
engineering.
backdoor your live stream at the moment?
That's social engineering. You can bribe us with social engineering of buying us scotch
That's it.
or
That's it.
whiskey.
So have you guys got any questions so far on anything that we've covered? We're still a little bit more to go yet.
Got a lot more to
Feel
go
free.
yet.
Chuck some stuff in the comments. We can only give you so much information. You guys need to give us a bit of feedback on if we've missed anything, or if you guys know of anything that we have missed. As I said, social engineering is a very, very big part of an attacker's arsenal. There's a lot of different techniques. We've only really just brushed on the surface of what attackers can do and use. A lot of this stuff is what we see on a daily basis. Like every person gets,
about.
yeah, a lot of people get scam phone calls from telemarketers. You get phishing emails all the time. So we're just trying to cover the basics for you guys.
Yep, an example of phishing and creating urgency and stuff like that. This is legitimate. This is God's honest truth. A resident of the aged care facility I work at had a phone call, and I walked past the room and heard him on the phone reading out some numbers. And I'm like, that sounds like a card. I'm like, there's too many numbers for a phone number. That sounds like a card. So I pop into the room and they had the phone on speaker, so I heard. And it was someone claiming to be from Telstra, stating that their bank card had been compromised and they needed access to the bank card so that they could cancel it. So they needed the number and the expiry date and the number on the back and all this stuff. So I had a bit of fun. So I jumped onto the phone call. And I looked up the phone number. So the phone number wasn't hidden, it wasn't private or anything like that. It actually had an actual phone number there. So I reverse engineered their phone number and found that they weren't calling from a Telstra phone, they were calling from an Optus phone. And found out where they were. So I'm playing along. I'm like, oh, so you're calling from Telstra? Yeah. I'm like, how come you're calling up an Optus phone then? Oh, no. This is a Telstra phone. I'm like, no, it's an Optus phone. I'm like, and second of all, I'm like, you don't deal with the bank card. You can't tell if it's been. I'm like, oh yeah, if you go to do this website, it will tell you. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to that website. I'm like, and this is where you are located at the moment, and this is the phone number that you're calling off, and it's actually an Optus phone. I'm like, you do realise that I teach and train people about these forms of attacks. And the guy hung up on me. So I had a little bit of fun. James Randolph is another one that I know for a fact has had some fun with stuff like that. Seeing how far he can actually push these scammers along. But yeah, it goes to show you that like an elderly person is vulnerable because they don't really think, and then they convince them that they are Telstra because they're not up to date with all the technology. But I did have a lot of fun playing around and messing with this scammer. But it was kind of funny. I'm like, no, you're calling up the Optus phone. I'm like, you're located at this place. Oh, no, I'm not. I can read you. I can tell. I'm like, no. I'm like, I already got it upset. I've reverse engineered it. He goes, boom, and hung up on me. I'm like, I wanted to see how much more I can get out of him.
So there's a lot of stuff out there. Like, so many people get scammed every single day through social engineering.
Yep. And it's all these, psychology triggers make social engineering a dangerous tool in the hands of malicious actors. James, I do enjoy messing with scammers. I know you do, mate. We all do. Those of us that know about this stuff, we do. I had one that wanted us to be a part of a what was it now? I can't remember the Aboriginal one. Like not OzSecCon, the other version of it. A security conference. They wanted us to be a part of it and become not sponsored, but like help promote it and help create it, and then we get money in from it and all this stuff. And he's like, "Oh, this is the websites," and Daryl and I are looking up the websites. We're like, "They don't exist." I'm like, got any more information? Oh, you got any websites? Oh, no, I don't have like anything. We asked him was like, we sent him stuff back about his fake accounts and all this stuff, and had a little bit of fun, but he never really bit much, did he? Like,
No.
no. I wonder how many emails I'm going to get and how many fake scam ones I'm going to get now that we're doing another video on, or much more in detail version of social engineering. It always seems to be after we do these, they pop up quite a lot.
Alrighty, so unfortunately, the guys that aren't in Australia, these are probably not going to be applicable to you, but you will know of the ones from your own country. But we're going to have a look at some case studies where there's been breaches here in Australia through social engineering. And one that's always an ongoing scam here in Australia is the ATO, so the Australian Taxation Office.
Yeah,
they are every tax time, which is June, July here in Australia, we do our taxes. The ATO send out a lot of official emails making people aware that this time of the year or leading up to this time of the year, there will be a lot of scam phone calls, scam emails trying to get people to send through details to get their tax returns because the ATO aren't able to process it because not all information was supplied. These are done via emails and phone calls. So the scammers will actually ring you up on your phone number and impersonate the ATO or an ATO officer and try to get your information that way. They'll claim that receipts of that you owe money back to the tax department. They'll threaten you with legal action because the ATO is a government body here in Australia. So if you don't comply, you're going to face jail time and really push fear into the people they're trying to hack. So many Australians were caught out and would divulge personal information and financial information to these scammers because they were threatened with legal action or even jail.
Yep.
This is an ongoing incident in Australia, and there's not a lot that the ATO can do here in Australia except educate people.
And the ATO and the Commonwealth Bank does it as well. They always say, we will never contact you or call you to contact you. So they actually make a point of saying, we will never call you. You have to call them. They never call you. Stuff like that. I get the text messages, ATO, you got messages from MyGov, because ATO is linked to MyGov and all that stuff. So it's like, you need to contact us, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, click on this link now. And I'm like, no, I'm actually going to go to my MyGov app and access the ATO through there. Don't click on the link in the text message. Actually go, if it's, again, Commonwealth Bank or NAB or ANZ or whoever you bank with, again, if you get a text message, don't click on the link in the text message. Go to the actual app or go into the bank themselves and find out what's going on. But the Australian Tax Office scam is a big, big one here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's Unfortunately, a lot of
Yes,
people panic about it because taxes, tax everywhere is a very important thing, and stuff like that. So it's one that hits a lot of emotional triggers for people. It also, it creates urgency, it creates panic, and it can look legitimate because they can take the logos and everything off the websites and make it look legitimate.
that's
Um,
it.
the Toll Group ransomware attack in the early 2020. Well, gee, that's 5 years ago now.
Yep.
A major logistics and transport company in Australia was targeted in a ransomware attack that stemmed from social engineering tactics. So the attackers sent out phishing email that led to a significant data breaches and operational disturbances. This incident not only compromised sensitive customer data, but showcased how even large corporations can be vulnerable. And again, it highlights the urgent need for companies to provide training and preventative measures to recognize phishing attempts effectively.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's great for businesses and large companies to have all this training in place, but they need to follow up. They need to make sure that their employees are actually doing it and are held responsible if they don't do it. They training needs to be ongoing all the time. There's no good saying, okay, we'll do this once every 6 months. Technology changes a lot more frequently, and the way that scammers and attackers use these techniques, we've got the introduction of AI now. But that's going to make things a lot harder in the future, especially when AI evolves. It's going to be one of those things where they can then start impersonating voices. So they can create phone calls
I mean,
from,
they had Arnold Schwarzenegger singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" and
yep,
stuff like that, and it sounds like him. I mean, it's terrible singing, but it's surprising how effective AI really is
yep.
at creating
Training
voices.
needs to be ongoing all the time.
Yep.
You need to continually push and push with employees, not only, but family and friends. I get a lot of messages from friends and that going, "Oh, is this a spam email? Like, should I answer this?" And it's like, no, delete it.
Um,
So it's just about making people aware.
yep, and we'll talk about some things that you should do and some things that you don't do towards further down. But do you want to discuss the Optus breach?
Yeah, so in 2022, we had a huge data breach with Optus. So Optus is one of it's about our second largest telecommunication provider here in Australia, other than Telstra. The breach revealed that personal information of over nearly 10 million customers was obtained by hackers. The breach occurred as an attacker focused on an employee. They social engineered that employee to gain access to the sensitive information. Once again, it's really important that we teach our employees not just to click on anything, because at work, they're on a different network to what they're going to be at home. The network may not be segregated from the rest of the systems. As I said, Optus is the second largest telecommunication provider in Australia. If it can happen to them, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter how big the corporation is. It doesn't matter if they employ 25 to 100 people to look after the infrastructure. It only takes one stupid idiot to click on a link and hackers have access.
Yep.
So
I know we at my other work get emails sent around. Heads up that we've had a staff member reach out and let their management and the IT heads of IT know that they have had a person call up or, call them up and pretended to be an IT person on the phone, saying they're having trouble accessing the system at the moment. Can they get some help doing it? What's your login details and stuff like that. So knowing who your heads of IT are. Now, it's always really important, especially when it comes to this stuff. And, as we were saying before, don't click on links. If something doesn't look right, which will show you, what to look out for as one example later on. But as I always say to people at work, and I actually got it implemented on the computer systems at our work, was a lot of staff members were using the work computers to access personal emails. So they were logging in. So the most common email accounts around are Gmail. I'm guilty. Dark Arts Lockpicking. The business email is actually a Gmail account, only because I've had that Gmail since I started the YouTube channel. When it turned into a business, I just kept it rather than having to change the email around and, people get confused and all that stuff. It was easy just to keep it just as Gmail. So if you do get a message from my Gmail, it's legit. It's not a scammer. And if you're not sure, send me a message. I'll let you know. But we actually got Gmail blocked on the computers at work. Because as I say to people, it'd be quite easy. You go in to check your personal emails while you're at work. I send you an email and you click on a link. All of a sudden, you've just given us remote access. So don't use work computers to access personal emails. And don't do personal stuff on any work computers. Don't access your social medias. It's actually surprising, and I laugh because we've had people leave their Netflix accounts logged in on the computer.
Yep.
We've had them leave their emails logged in on the computer. We've had them leave their Facebook, even though they've got phones. They left their Facebook logged in on the work computer. And I'm like, oh, what can I have fun with here? So yeah, that's a big one.
Well, it was really funny. Like I was working doing security at a shopping centre in my local area, and in the tea room for the management and security staff, we were up on a second floor. They had all their management offices, their head offices. There was boardrooms, there was a tea room, toilet facilities, and a security office, all up on the second floor of this building. The first day I was there, I walked into the kitchen, and what's in the corner of our kitchen? But all their data racks. They've got 2 racks, one with their Wi-Fi for the shopping centre, and then the second one had all their servers and access consoles for the IT team to come and manage those.
That's the one you sent me the photo of.
The data racks, yep. And what was sitting on the top of there was a full height 42U rack and a 24U rack side by side. Sitting on top of the 24U rack was the keys to get into both server cabinets. Then on the 42U rack, on the monitor, was the username and password to log into the console. And then they also had labelled on all their servers, the IP addresses of those servers, and on the Wi-Fi rack, they had all the Wi-Fi access point URL, the IP addresses in a nice little printed sheet. And they also had their external IP address. So it doesn't matter how big the company is, there's always going to be flaws.
That's when you took a photo of and sent it to me saying, check this out. I'm like, that's funny.
Oh, it is. But it's one of those things that it happens all the time. Like, even though companies have policies and procedures in place, that human element always makes mistakes. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot you're going to do about it.
No, I mean it's not just individuals, and it's not just large organisations either. It's small businesses cop it, individuals cop it, and even ones that you kind of think about. So why would they go after that? The Queensland Health phishing incident in 2021. There was the Medicare, when Medicare got done.
Yep.
There's a lot of information. And I walked into my other work, and people turned around and said to me, like, "Was that you?" I'm like, "What? Like, was that you that hacked Medicare?" I'm like, "If it was, would I be here?" Like, I'm not stupid. Why would I do that? And stuff like that. Like, it's kind of scary because it's not just financial gains, it's data. Do you know how vulnerable and important data is? And these are just some examples of what's happened here in Australia.
Well, I had a client ask me, they were a small business. They had 3 or 4 employees. They had 2 servers in their business. And they said to me, why would somebody attack us? We're a small business. We don't have any information that would be relevant to an attacker. And I said, what about denial of service? If they want to use your IP address to spam somebody else, if they have 100,000 different small businesses around the world and they target that on a large company, who are the authorities going to come looking at? And they sort of stood there and thought about it for a minute. And as I said to them, you are the registered owner of that website or whatever. They're going to come back to you and go, why were you spamming them?
Yep.
And it's one of those things. People think just because they're a small business or even a homeowner, if you have somebody that's just got a small home computer set up, your IP address can be used, to spam and create denial of services.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that can be done.
It's even some programs, or like a lot of businesses that used to use paper-based documentation have all switched over to online and digital documentation. So, like, a lot of aged care facilities and stuff like that switched over from paper-based, where they'd have each individual person, like clients that was there or resident, person lived there, had their own folder which had all their information in it. All notes and documents and all that stuff that was written down was all handwritten in these folders. All went to online, digital versions of it. And as we were saying, like, people are like, oh, why would anyone want to get access to that? It's like, well, it's got their names, their dates of birth, their medical histories. It's got all the information that I need. You might think, oh, it's nothing important. But what you don't realise is it's all the information that I need to then take over that person's identity. And that's when identity theft comes into it. And a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't think of that. I'm like,
sorry, James, I'll just interrupt. There's a couple of comments there I just want to make comment to.
Yep.
So I'll start off with you, James. It's one of those things. A lot of businesses do leave keys, that sort of stuff. And when COVID first hit 4 years ago, I was doing security in Centrelink, which is our social security side of thing here in Australia. And one of the buildings that I was at doing security, their alarm system had an A4 piece of paper at the back door where staff would come in and access. It had full procedures on how to de-arm and arm the alarm system, including the PIN number for that alarm system. So it does happen a lot. And like a government agency shouldn't be doing things like that. G. Keeman as well, just to touch on yours. I've been doing web design now for nearly 16 years. My first website was hacked within 20 minutes of it going live. What they do is they just have, a good example, Shodan. The website Shodan. is constantly scanning and accessing websites, emails, anything new coming up. So these bots are just out there constantly dragging information. And yeah, my website was hacked in 20 minutes. That's what got me into the field that I'm in today, is knowing and understanding the cyber world, what people are looking for, what information they can gather, and how I can defend against it. It's just one of those things.
Yep.
With technology, and now the introduction of AI, it's just going to make it so much easier for people to start scraping the internet for this information.
Yep.
So hopefully that helps you just a little bit understand those practicalities.
Yep. And it's like in each of these case studies, it just highlights, crucial lessons for individuals,
Yep.
and organisations, and about the ongoing awareness and proactive, strategies to put in place to combat this threat. The worst thing is, and as we keep saying, especially, trying to convince people here in Australia to, of what we do and why it's important what we do. Unfortunately, a lot of Australians have the, she'll be right, mate, or it'll never happen to me. I'm a nobody. It'll never happen to me. As soon as you think that, it's going to happen. So, don't think it'll never happen to you. Don't think, I'll be fine, she'll be right. That's not what you want to be thinking.
And the thing is too, James, with a lot of the technology and that we have, yes, companies are bringing out more and more technology to be able to mitigate some of these problems. But you've got to look at it from the other side as well. Hackers and attackers, they're constantly reverse engineering a lot of this technology. A good example, TP-Link routers getting banned. There's a YouTube channel I watched the other day where they actually pulled down a router, took chips off the board, and they look at how they could manipulate the data off those chips through an EEPROM programmer and pull out the admin passwords and all that sort of stuff. So even though technology changes and there's companies out there trying to mitigate a lot of this stuff, the hackers are one step behind them or even one step ahead of them.
Yep.
Getting their hands on the technology and just reverse engineering it, pulling it down, seeing what makes it tick, and then working out a way that they can get around it.
The one of the big names in a lot of online or cybersecurity stuff, as he was saying, he's the one that tracked down a lot of those chomos and stuff like that in America. He said a vacuum cleaner, a great vacuum cleaner that he got. He reverse engineered it, and it turns out that it was collecting data and sending it to servers in China. And that's a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Once again,
IoTs,
Internet of Things.
Internet of Things. Everything these days, fridges, coffee machines, microwaves, your cameras, everything, all Internet of Things, and they can all be accessed and used to collect information on you, data on you, and send it over to other, to China or whoever, manufactures it. But that just goes into the role of technology in social engineering.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things that technology it can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword as such. Social media, it's unbelievable the amount of things that people put up on their social media accounts. Facebook, I don't know how many times I've muted comments or streams from different pages or groups that I've been a part of because of all the crap. Like, I'm not interested in what people had for tea. But they put their entire life stories up on social media.
Or I just bought a house.
I know. Yeah, put the key up, um, or they take selfies at work in front of their computers with personal information up on the screens, or the age-old story of the old sticky note on the monitors.
Was one of my favourite
It's
ones. They go away and they're putting up photos. Oh, we're up in Queensland. We're over in Western Australia enjoying. Oh, you telling me your house is empty?
yep,
Hmm.
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. Like people just don't realise.
Well,
Um,
it's a treasure
what?
trove of information. Everything
Yeah,
we need
open source
to
intelligence.
pretend to be someone. Likes, dislikes, interests, hobbies, um, and stuff like that. You know, everything that we need to be able to, or even to create an identity for someone. So,
Well,
you know,
you look at Facebook's bio. What are some of the things that they put in there? Maiden names, pets, where you went to school. You can add relatives. What are a
birth
lot of the
dates,
questions, the security questions that come up on a lot of these two-factor authentications? Um,
yeah.
it is. Where were you born?
Favorite food,
Um, yeah. What's your
name
pet's
the
name?
street you lived in, your first pet's name. Yep.
Yeah. What school did you go to? This is all basic information that people don't realise that they're putting out there for hackers or attackers to get hold of.
Yep. And it's not just that. I mean,
LinkedIn.
as you were saying, it's a treasure trove because if we need to pretend that we know someone from a workplace, so let's just say, for example, right, I'm going to use Daryl because he's here. Daryl works for a massive company, and I look up on their website. I'm like, oh, Daryl, he's their head of IT. Okay. Or, right, let's say head of IT or head of security, something like that. So then I can call up and pretend to be someone who's looking for Daryl. I'm like, oh, no, Daryl's a good friend of mine. Is he in working? They're like, oh, well, how do you know? Oh, look, let's say, for example, Daryl likes Jamison. Like, oh, we go out and we drink a few Jamisons. People would probably know at his workplace that he likes Jamison.
Yep.
Oh, he loves camping and he loves doing this and he has a, three-legged dog called Spot.
Spot.
We've got all this information that we've just collected on that person so we can make it out that we are friends with them or we're a family member.
It
Oh,
comes back
Spot
to
just
that.
got hit by a car. Can we get him? I'm trying to get hold of him so he can get home. Let him know that his dog's just been hit by a car. All this information is so accessible because people put it out there, not just
It
pictures of what they have for dinner. I don't do
comes
that.
back to what we were talking about earlier. That pre-texting, and what other information can we get from these people? Will it confirm information we've found on these people, or are they giving us new information? Like you were talking about how do I get in contact with them? It could be that they may have a work phone or an alternate phone number stored on their next of kin at work, and you go, oh, the phone number I've got for him's not working. Have you got an alternate number I can get in contact with him on? And they go, oh, yeah, he's got this listed down. This is his partner's number or his wife's partner, his wife's number.
Wife's
And
partner.
next thing you know, you've got, yeah, next thing you know, you've
Open
got
marriage.
not enough Jameson, that's what it is.
um,
But it gives you more information to go on. So then you can start looking into other family members. And then how can you get a phishing email or a pre-texted scenario to those people to get further information?
and that
What,
comes into
what,
open source intelligence gathering, OSINT.
yeah. And the OSINT's just a whole other ball game on its own. And that's something that if you guys are interested in, we'll do an introduction to OSINT as well, because there's just so much out there.
Yep. That's going to be
But
part of the course as well. I think we're going to
yep,
be including the introduction and a little dive into that. There's some great programs you can use. I'm pretty sure Linux CSI, is it? CSI Linux?
CSI Linux, yeah.
CSI Linux is a great one for OSINT,
Yep.
which I know about because you told me about it, and I got it set up.
Yeah, because I use
VR
that for my open OSINT stuff. Yeah, and that there's a lot of
or VR, I
really
should say,
good
virtual machine.
tools on there to use.
What's my name, as we said before. The
Yeah,
track down, all the social media platforms that someone uses. If you got a
there's
username that you would use, let's say G Keyman, if he uses his username that he uses here for YouTube for other accounts, or like Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter or Grinder or Tinder or whatever it might be, you type in that username and it literally brings up every single platform that username is used on.
Yep.
And then we got kind of a good idea of what they're into.
And that whole process, like as an attacker or someone that's trying to find out information, you're going to start off with your OSINT. You're going to start looking at business websites to get a background on who works there, who the hierarchy is, get names, email addresses from that, and then sort of proceed from there and just confirm via social media whether this person works there. Can we get other details? Can we send them a friends request from a fake Facebook account that we have? Can we send them a LinkedIn request
Well,
from a
creating
fake
fake
account?
Facebook accounts is a big thing for applying for jobs and stuff like that, because they've got to look up who you are, and most businesses look on Facebook.
Yep.
So a part of physical entry, and there's other pen testers that have actually spoken about this openly on other platforms, of having Facebook accounts for made-up people that they keep active, liking and stuff and sharing stuff, and it's all fake. But being able to have that background there, that's not like, oh, this account was only created like 3 days ago. Oh no, this person's been on Facebook for the last 6-7 years. So you've got that timeline to build up stuff. And what I was laughing at just before was when G Keyman said not on Snapchat, but he didn't say anything about not being on Grinder.
Yeah, that's it. Or Tinder.
So he just confirmed that he is. No, not really, but that's a form of social engineering there. He just told us something. We just socially engineered in to tell us that he's not on Snapchat.
Look, it's one of those things. There's so many things in relation to OSINT out there that you can do as an attacker or a pen tester to find out or confirm information that you've already started with, and it can turn into a real big rabbit hole. You can find out one little piece of information, which then opens up a whole can of worms. And as an OSINT investigator, you need to follow all those trails until you determine that it's no longer viable or it doesn't exist.
Whether it's hot or cold.
Then you backtrack to the next lead that you have and work your way through those leads and see what comes out of those leads until it dies off again. And then people don't understand doing the OSINT and reconnaissance for these jobs. It could take you 3 weeks to 2 months to successfully get enough information to do this.
Yep.
It's not something that takes 5 minutes. There is a lot of tools out there that you can use that will automate this process. There's tools on Kali Linux. As I said, I use CSI Linux for a lot of my OSINT investigations because a lot of the tools that are out there are on that distribution. Even automating some of the tasks like creating, because what people don't understand is you've got to keep track of this information as well. There's no good looking at it and going, okay, well, I know this person works here. You need to document it and make sure that the information you documented can be reenacted, or if you need to go back over it again, from a pen tester's point of view, you need to be able to show proof of concept. How did you get to that point? How did you find the information to your client?
Yep.
OSINT's just a complete rabbit warren of things to do.
And those of you that are interested or wondering, we do have on our private Discord server, so the DALP Discord server, which Daryl and I are actually chatting on right now, where we do the cast from here. not onto YouTube, but where we record our video, have our videos on, I should say. We do have a OSINT tab where we do talk about some OSINT stuff, share some links to like CSI, as Darryl was talking about, and stuff like that. Now, you can access the private Discord server if you are interested, either through our website. So it is a subscription based because we do put stuff on there that we don't necessarily want just the general public getting access to. Just anyone, willy-nilly. As we were saying, because a lot of stuff that we discuss, a lot of stuff we talk about and go into can be used for nefarious reasons. And you can also access it through our channel memberships. So the second level of our channel memberships here on YouTube gives you access to the private Discord server as well, where we do talk about OSINT, stuff like that, some hacking stuff, and other topics that we've kind of discussed in here, links and documents and important bits of information we do post up and stuff like that, and where James Randolph also shares his stories of playing around with scammers and seeing how much stuff he can actually get out of them, and documenting his progress along with it, which is kind of fun to watch, and stuff. So, yeah, as we're saying, OSINT is a whole another can of worms. Unbelievable how much of a deep dive and a rabbit hole you can go down with that, which we could do, heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of videos on, and still not, go into most of it because there's so much.
But it's not just us either. There's a lot of other YouTube channels out there, cyber channels that go into a lot of this sort of stuff. So there's a lot of information out there if you want to learn about it.
And GK Man, no, we're actually just discussing this right before we started the stream when we were getting everything set up about the tip jar down the bottom there. No, okay, yes, quite a lot of those are scam links in a way. When you see them out and about in public, don't just click on them randomly, and stuff like that, or, take photos of them, look them up randomly. We do use them on our business cards to link you to the website. And none of ours that we actually use ourselves here are phishing links or anything like that. There's nothing nefarious that we do. So our business cards will take you to our website. Our banner that we use, or our banner that we put up when we teach classes, in-person classes, does have a QR code link for you to visit the website as well, because a lot of people, they just don't want to Google it, so they just take a photo and look it up later and stuff like that. And of course, our tip jar down there, because, YouTube, yes, we do have our channel memberships and you can donate, get super chats and stuff like that going. But YouTube does take a big chunk. But if you want to, again, donate to the channel and help us be able to bring out more content, and do more giveaways, help and support us, subscribing, turning notification bell on, and stuff like that is a great support and great help for us. Lets us also know, these interactive chats. Let us know what you're interested in learning. We get asked quite a lot about social engineering. It's been a big topic lately. So that's why we're knee diving into it tonight. But if you do want to support, then yes, you can tip through our PayPal link as well, because they charge a little bit less than what YouTube does. But no, that is not a scamming one or a phishing one. It is safe. I can promise you that. But we did discuss that beforehand. It was like, wonder how many people will actually wonder how much of a phishing link that is.
And that's the thing too. Like, you can see legitimate posters and stickers and that on businesses, on ATMs. I actually seen a short video a while back where a heap of people were going around charity posters and putting their a little QR code over top of the legitimate one, and people weren't checking. They was walking up and they were scanning the QR code and going to this phishing website.
Yep.
They were looking for donations because it was for a charity organisation at the post that they targeted, and basically were getting free money because people thought they were donating it to a legitimate cause.
One I actually thought about a couple of weeks back was those scooters that are everywhere. The e-scooters that you literally scan a QR code on the top of to get the app and everything to be able to... And I'm like, I wonder how easy it would be just to print out a few of my own stickers of QR codes and just put them over the top. And stuff like that, QR codes everywhere. At one stage, you had to use QR codes to sign into buildings because of COVID. And stuff like that. So that's where a lot of people, these days just, QR code, I'll scan it. They don't think. But, we do make a point that the QR code that we use here on YouTube, on just there, or if you don't trust that QR code, there is actually a link in the description for the tip jar. But the one on our banner and the one on our business cards that we give out are legitimate QR codes. So we would not try and scam you.
People see it and think that it's legitimate. It's just another way of phishing. You don't have to have an email. You don't need to send people to a website. They just scan it. Once again, that's the use of technology. It's things that a scammer or an attacker can use to make things so much easier to get information. AI at the moment is a big thing. There's so much going on about AI in the world.
That's why I've got deep fakes and AI.
Yep. It's one of those things that it makes life so... Well, I cheated today. The script that we made up and the research that we did for today was all done by AI. It took me approximately 3.5 minutes to do this entire script using ChatGPT.
A lot of it we also know ourselves, but...
Yeah, but it's one of those things.
Well,
AI is out there. People use it.
Yep.
The only thing with AI is it's never perfect. There's some dark hat GPTs, like I think it's Worm GPT or something it's called, out there for hackers to use to make malicious malware. You can use ChatGPT to create code for coders. Script kiddies can use it to make up basic Python scripts. So AI can be used for a lot of different things for an attacker.
Yep.
We spoke a bit earlier about having voice recognition, having conversations or videos sound like the original person. These AI scrape the internet to grab whatever public available information there is, and not public available as well.
Well, an example, it could be that the AI takes our videos that we do here and then takes my voice and takes Daryl's voice and pretends to be us.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. And at the moment, yes, AI is still in its early stages, but who knows, in 5 years' time, everything might be done by AI. We don't know.
A lot of Hollywood actors were cracking it because of AI and stuff like that with, movies, and they don't really need them anymore because they can just take clips from other movies and take their face and superimpose it onto other people.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And a lot of it is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
Like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow and stuff like that. It sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Again, he can't sing. I can tell you that now with these ones I've heard. But we were listening to a heap of them at work, and we were laughing our heads off at how funny it is to hear him singing songs that it's got nothing to do with him, or they never sung in their life, and there's got audio of them singing. But it's not just that. Deep fakes, like they can pretend to be. For example, now this is a phone call that does get around quite a bit, and this is actually one that's used by scammers. So they'll call you up and they'll ask you a question. Oh, can you hear? Sorry, yeah, can you hear me? And they expect you to go yes. And now they've just got you saying yes. So then they can use that to access stuff where you got to have a voice, to say yes. So, a big one that people would get told to look out for is that when they call you up and ask you yes or no question, like, can you hear me? People would say, respond with, I can hear you. Don't respond with yes, because then they go, even if you respond with, I can hear you, they go, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? And you go, I can hear you. Don't just say yes, because then they can take that and then use that to, use your voice to be able to gain access into systems and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of deep fakes, sometimes you cannot tell the difference.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So, it's can be used for fun and funny things. Like as I was saying, people singing songs and doing silly things. But again, like everything we talk about in this video is, various malicious purposes. It can be used for good. Right. It can be used to help, like writing out, not scripts, but writing out some information, helping write out books, and stuff like that. I had a company contact me not long back about taking my YouTube channel and my content and using it to create an AI written book. And would I be interested in it? No. It's free. It's, I don't have to pay anything. I get the stuff, and it's all linked to me and it's all about me. I'm like, yeah, no, thanks. I don't want that. But it just shows you it can be used for good stuff. But then again, like this stuff that we teach, we can use it for fun. We use it for good reasons. But there are people that use it for bad. Yes, we are criminals, Daryl and I. Yes, we get paid to act and think like criminals. But we do it in a legal and in a good way. There's a reason why we do this. There's a reason why we teach people about this. There's a reason why we put out free education like this here on YouTube. Now, we do it for good, but that's not to say that somebody can't take what we do and use it for bad. Daryl can use, for example, let's say OSINT stuff. He can use it for repossessions. Gathering information on the person to repo their car. That's for not so much a good thing for the person to get their vehicle repossessed, but it can be used for a good thing. Or he can use it to gain information on someone and then use it to attack that person. And stuff like that. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad.
It comes down to the individual and their morals and standards. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
The information's out there for everyone and anyone. You've just got to look hard enough to find it and know how to find it. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there showing people how to do things. Here in Australia, there's been a spate of break-ins on BF Commodores. So here in Australia, Holden shut down a few years ago. The VF Commodores were getting towards the last of the models that they made here in Australia. I think it's about 2017 onwards, all the push-button start vehicles have been getting stolen here, especially in Victoria and Australia, over the last 6 months. And we own a VF Commodore. So I thought I'd just start looking into and doing some research into how these criminals are taking the cars. And it was rather interesting. It didn't take very long to find the information that these guys were targeting the remote fob vehicles in particular, not a key start, but a remote start key fob. What they were doing is there's a device called an AUTEL, an AUTEL KM100 key programmer. You can buy them on eBay here in Australia for about $700. They come with two universal keys, and it basically plugs into the OBD2 port on the car, and you can completely wipe any programmed keys for that vehicle, or you can add a second, third, fourth key, depending on how many keys have been programmed into it, within about 3 to 5 minutes. And that's what they were doing. They were creating a second key or a third key and stealing the car with a legitimate key. And it was really interesting just how much information was out there in relation to these devices. And this is coming from locksmiths as well, automotive locksmiths. They were putting videos out on these particular devices. But it just goes to show someone that's got an interest in something or wants to know something, it doesn't take long to find out the information. In maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'd found all the products on eBay and could literally order it there and then and be able to create all my own keys and fobs. And there was even a video I found on YouTube where a renowned car thief had gone to a car dealership and had showed them how he could break into the majority of their cars on their parking lot. And just how he did. He showed them exactly how he programmed the keys in depth. So literally somebody with malicious intent could watch that video, buy the equipment, and go and start stealing cars.
Yep. Flipper Zeros aren't exactly ones you can go around stealing cars with, unlike what a lot of people try and fake to make you believe. I mean, there's some stuff they can do, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of fake videos. Talk about deep fakes. There are a lot of fake Flipper Zero hacking videos out there, and stuff like that. But Open Sesame was one that was used for garage doors, Open Sesame device and stuff like that. And a lot of Flipper Zeros can do that. I can record garage door remotes. I can record doorbells and a lot of, radio frequencies and stuff like that, and hold on to them. RFID cards and stuff like that. So, we use it for good. We use them as part of our job. I use the Flipper for cloning RFIDs out in the field quickly. If someone wants a gym membership or gym tag cloned, or their, apartment building, key fob cloned and stuff like that. Instead of me having to break out the Proxmart and the laptop, and I'm like, no problem, so I can clone one for you as part of the business. Flipper Zero, done. Hotel keys. Daryl likes to collect hotel key ones, and stuff like that. Just walk past and you'll see a stack of them sitting there like hotel keys. Just like sit the Flipper Zero on top and collect one. And stuff like that. I do it, collect one, put it onto a ring, so that then I don't have to swipe the card to get in. I just, leave the card in the room, whatever, and just swipe my ring to open the door, and stuff like that. So again, we can use it for good, it can be used for bad. And again, a thing that we always get told, because we do education on this, we put out free videos and for people. We always cop that whole same old story, they play a little violin for them, of you're teaching criminals. No. We're teaching you what criminals do so that you know what to look out for and how to defend against it. We're not teaching criminals how to socially engineer. We're telling you what criminals do, and this is methods they use and how they social engineer. So you go, I didn't know that, but now I know to look out for it. So I then can defend against it. As Daryl was saying before, a lot of this stuff you don't pick up on because it is so well done. And even some of the top people in the field. A good one was a YouTuber, one of the top cybersecurity YouTube people. His YouTube channel got hacked. One of his staff members fell for a social engineering attack, and a couple of Chinese people took over his YouTube channel and made all of his videos private and just started live streaming all these gambling or cards videos or whatever it was. And it shows you just like anyone can fall victim to this. Even people top of their fields. There's a reason why people use social engineering, and there's a reason why we have got such a big foot in it with our course, and why we brought this video out to you and stuff like this, live stream to you, is because of how effective it really is. It is scary. I use it all the time at work. My other job, and with DALP, I'm always socially engineering people. I even turned around to my boss one day and she goes, "How do you know all this stuff? You know stuff that happens around here that no one else knows." But I probably shouldn't admit this. I'm like, "But I socially engineer everyone here." And she's like, "You what?" I'm like, "Yeah, I convince people to tell me what goes on. I know everything that goes on around here." I said, "I've even socially engineered you a few times." And she's like, "Oh, actually, yeah, you have." Because she'll tell me something. She goes, "Oh, I shouldn't have told you that." I'm like, yes. One of my proudest ones was I actually convinced when I worked as a chef, the head chef that I had, she was pregnant. And I actually convinced her. She wasn't telling anyone. She found out what the sex of the baby was, but she wasn't telling anyone. No one knew. I convinced her to tell me what the sex of the baby was. And it wasn't until 5 minutes after she told me, she went, "Oh my God, I told you." And I'm like, "Yeah, because I convinced you to tell me without you realizing it." And she's like, "Don't tell anyone." I said, "I'm not going to tell anyone. Your secret's safe with me." But I knew exactly what sex, what baby she was having. She wasn't telling anyone. People kept asking and asking and hounding her all the time. She never told anyone. She kept her mouth shut, except I convinced her unconsciously to tell me. And it's not just her. Another lady at my work. I like to be more observant than most people, and she did a couple of things that made me go, okay. And I turned around and I'm like, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "You're pregnant." And she's like, "I only just found out a couple of days ago." "How the hell do you know?" She goes, "I haven't told anyone." I'm like, "You're already doing signs of it." I said, "You're doing subtle cues that most people would, not pick up on, but I kind of noticed." And she still freaks out to this day. She goes, "I can't believe you knew I was pregnant before anyone else did." I'm like, "Well, you were subconsciously giving away signs. Being observant, looking out for certain things, what doesn't add up, all this stuff all comes into learning how to defend against it and what to look out for and why we do these videos and why we put out this education."
And that's what leads us into the next thing, doesn't it, James? We've spoken about what social engineering is. We've spoken about how people can be manipulative, the psychological aspects of it. We've shown some case studies on here in Australia. We've spoken about the technologies that we can use, but last but not least is the defensive measures. How do we stop this? How do we make
combat
people
social
aware?
Engineering.
Yep. It's one of those things. The biggest thing is awareness and training.
Yep.
People need to be able to identify these traits and know how to react to that. And the only way you can do that is to keep people up to date with the latest techniques and train them. There was a comment earlier in the chat in relation to an IT department sending out phishing emails and seeing who actually clicked on the links and then suspending their email privileges for 24 hours. There needs to be a lot of training, an ongoing training to make people aware. Yeah. Make people aware of what's happening. Yeah. And if that doesn't happen, then people aren't aware.
Yep.
It's not just about being aware, but situational awareness. You were just talking about it a minute ago. When you go out for a smoke, who's out there? Is it someone you've never seen before? Is there people hanging around that could be sitting there taking notes?
Looking through windows.
There's a lot of things. Yeah. Has someone got a drone flying around when there's not usually a drone flying around?
Someone got a disposable coffee cup that's kind of weirdly perched at a certain spot to, looking around, and turns out it's got a ESP32 camera hidden in it that no one picked up on in military contractors. Not one person noticed this weird out of place coffee cup just sitting in the middle of our equipment.
Yep.
Mind you, you also had another coffee there that actually got brought in.
And
But
that's the thing is you need to make things look like they belong. And having that coffee prior to the engagement or during the engagement, then having a coffee cup sit there with a camera in it recording, it just makes things look like it's supposed to be there.
Yep.
But we really need to make people aware
and a
of
good
their
example
surroundings.
of looking like you're supposed to be there. And as I joked around, because I actually just quickly took this photo to use for this video tonight, this live stream. And
Yep.
the caption I actually had on it when I said that the Daryl was, "Look, I'm invisible." Because it kind of is, it makes you invisible. Now I'm going to bring it across now and you can all have a laugh at it, because I do. But that makes you invisible. As funny and as stupid as that sounds, wearing high vis makes you invisible. And one of the ones that James brought up earlier about the ladder under the door, there's actually a video that was around, I think it was one of the footy shows, the footy show here in Australia. They wanted to see, or it might have been America, something like that, they wanted to see where they could get into carrying a ladder. So they put on a high vis, or not even a high vis, they just walked into buildings with a ladder under their arm, and people opened up doors and let them through carrying a ladder. But yeah, it's surprising that even though it's there to make you stand out, makes you invisible to 99.99999% of people. Because
So awareness and training is a really big thing, especially for people that don't know or understand technology or what phishing emails is or what social engineering is. These people need to be shown what it is, what not to do, and what to do, so they have a full understanding of the scope of the severity.
And it's not just that. I mean, that layout right there to make you invisible, that is like a $10 hard hat from Bunnings, which I threw some stickers on, because, I mean, everyone throws stickers on their hard hats. They wear them all the time to make them look. And that had been sitting in the back of my ute. I even threw it across the ground a few times. Oh, no, I dropped it. Kind of thing. To scuff it up, sit in the back of my ute, gets beaten around. So it looks old and used. It's not like you put a brand new one on. It's old and used. A high-vis vest that costs like $5. Actually, I think I paid $5 from Kmart for a high-vis vest. I actually have two high-vis vests. I have the orange and I have a yellow, because they're two colours that you use. I also have some other high-vis clothing that I use when I work maintenance. And a clipboard. That one is actually one I use for the business with the liability waivers for automotive lockouts and residential lockouts and stuff. But a clipboard, hard hat, I'm actually wearing safety glasses as well, because you got to look the part. High-vis, hard hat, clipboards, paperwork. Doesn't even have to be important paperwork. They're actually in that folder as well as a safe dial information booklet that's in there as well. But you walk around with that and you're looking around and, that's pretend to mark stuff off. You look like you're meant to be there. And to most people, Daryl's done it. Building sites. He's walked around, throwing a high vis on and walked around, see where he can get walked past and stuff like that. It's
But even security. I've been in the security industry for a very long time. I've worked for a lot of different companies over the years. Poor policies and procedures is a big play. I've got over 25 different uniforms in my cupboard from security companies that I used to work for that didn't get their uniforms back. Now, a lot of the companies are still active companies that work and run their business. I just need to find out what sites they operate at, chuck a uniform on, and walk through their front doors. No one's going to even question it.
Yes,
First day on the job, mate.
And yes, James is right about some places, hard hats, stickers are frowned upon on hard hats. and stuff. Yes, that is true. A lot of them I've seen around building sites, especially I was driving past them every single day when they were renovating the hospital here, and a lot of them had stickers on their hard hats. But a lot of them, their hard hats are beaten, they've been used, and stuff like that. But when I was going in and out of the hospital with my ankle, when I was going in the physio and stuff like that, the amount of people walking in and out of doors with high vis on through all the renovations, it wouldn't have been hard for me just to throw my high vis stuff on and walk through a door. Mind you, I was on crutches and in a boot and non-weight bearing, but it just goes to show you there's that much business going on that it would be very easy to slip in. When we went down to Melbourne and actually trained the military contractors units down in Melbourne, they turned around and actually their head of security turned around and said, he goes, "Did you really do something to your ankle, or are you socially engineering us to make us think that you did? Because you could hide stuff in your boots or in your crutches and no one would really know." He goes, "Not to mention, we've just opened up the doors for you and walked you right through the inside of all around our facility, all the way around to the back. So, because there's a shorter thing than going all the way around the outside. Because I was injured, as far as they knew, they wanted to be helpful and take me through the inside. But again, all I have to do, I've still got my crutches, I've still got my boots. I can throw that on, walk into a building and be like, limp around. People are going to open up doors for me because if they see me trying to struggle with crutches and a boot, they're going to want to be helpful. And again, make it look like I'm meant to be there."
Yeah. So another thing that we can do as a control measure from a business perspective is make sure that there is good protocols in place to defend and safeguard the information coming into employees, being transferred from one employee to another, and outgoing information and data. So making sure that there's strict guidelines in relation to email protocols, making sure there's appropriate spam filters applied to those means of communication. A lot of companies use Slack. They use Microsoft Teams. They use Google Meets, all that sort of stuff. Making sure you don't send sensitive information via those channels. Teaching staff to understand that phone numbers can be cloned.
Spoofed.
So even sending stuff via text message can still be a leak. Then that's sort of leads into the next thing is use technology wisely. Make use of your filters, blockers, two-factor authentication. Make sure that the applications that you are using are credible. There's not just something someone's found off the black market.
And also use these.
Yep.
Use your eyes. As we discussed earlier, that phishing email, to use your eyes. Again, spam filters and stuff like that do help. But that one, I'm going to bring the bottom of it in here. The PayPal invoice that had the PDF link we spoke about at the start. Makes it look legit, makes it look real, and stuff like that. Again, if this is a phishing attack, for all I knew, that PDF could have had a virus connected to it to give remote access. It could have had a bit more information to be like, to stop this, contact us and stuff like that. Well, who knows what that could have had. But again, it's very effective because it kind of looks legit. I mean, it says PayPal invoice, invoice to darkhousehoping@gmail.com. That's my email. It even has an invoice number and a date and all that stuff. But, as we said, use your eyes. Check. Because what I always do whenever I get emails like that, the very first thing I ever do is look at who it comes from. Because if you look here, it's come from Linda Wartell from some random Gmail account.
Yep.
That was literally the top of that email. I always check to see what it is. And that Gmail account, as Daryl says, has no name link to Linda whatsoever.
Yep. And look, you will come across where, like my other half, she has a email she set up when she was younger that has no association with her name at all. So you've just got to be careful about that as well. There could possibly be some legitimate emails coming from people that the email doesn't match. But I prefer to go, no, thank you, and have them send it again or send it from another email.
Yep.
It's
Or
one
if
of
you
those
know
things.
that person, contact them and say, look, is this your email account?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of ways to mitigate those types of things. But in all fairness, with all these defensive measures, you've got to stop and look at reporting incidences. There's going to be breaches. People are going to click on phishing and email links. They're going to do the wrong thing. Having an open channel between IT, help desks, and having the ability for somebody to put their hand up and say, hey, look, I've clicked on this link. What do I need to do now? Making the appropriate team members aware of the situation, then that's really important. We cannot mitigate or follow through and track. Should have been here. We need to make sure that the companies then follow up with those breaches. They need to get on top of it as soon as possible. If we don't promote an environment where somebody that has done the wrong thing can come up to a team leader or a team member and say, hey, look, I've done a boo-boo here. I've clicked on this link and it come up with this error message. Having a quick critical response to these problems is probably the most important thing, I think, in relation to defensive measures.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter how much we put all this other stuff in play, there is going to be somebody that is going to do the wrong thing or click the wrong thing thinking it's legit.
So one of the best ones I heard was a lady received an email and stuff like that. It didn't look right to her. Something seemed off. She didn't click on anything, but the first thing she did was turn the computer off and pull the LAN cable out of it.
Yep.
She didn't actually click on anything, but that kind of panic set in. She goes, oh, wait, did I accidentally open an email? Because, as far as she knew, if you'd open an email, oh, I've opened an email, it didn't seem right. Okay, they've got access to my system. No, it's usually click on the link. But that whole panic set in and she pulled the plug out. She turned the power off, pulled the LAN cable out. She even pulled the power lead out the back of the computer after she turned it off to make sure it is extra turned off, like when you lock your car and you press the lock button 5 times to make sure it's doubly locked and stuff like that. Just as a, and then she called the IT straight away and was like, look, this is what happened and, explained what happened. So, yeah, stuff like that. As you were saying, incident reporting. And it's not just the online stuff you got to look out for. And about your policies and procedures and protocols that are in place. Having a look at your physical security as well. One of the comments that James brought up just before was looking at cigarette butts around emergency exits and entrances. Is a good one to see where people are hanging out with. Sometimes they might, if people are doing surveillance, having a car that's in a weird position, parked there for a very, very long time, and someone walking around with a camera and stuff like that. Someone sitting in the car outside a facility, just sitting there for hours, watching the facility, and stuff like that. These are all things to focus on and to look out for, to put into your policies and procedures. Is there someone
Yep. And that,
sus, someone looking like Daryl that's, hanging around out the back, walking around the cars, looking in all the cars and stuff like that? Having a look at your electronics that are in place.
so I'm sorry, James, I'll just interrupt you there. While you're on that whole path of someone like me walking around, I actually had an incident at the shopping centre that I was working at where I had a lady and a gentleman come up to me while I was there doing security work, and they said, "Look, there's a young girl walking around the car park, going in and out of cars and looking in cars." They brought that to my attention, so I went down to the lower car park where this person was supposed to be. No sign of her. It was a 3-level car park at that stage. So I'm walking around some of the other levels, and I come across this girl. She was leaning down between 2 cars at the time, and I made contact with her. And it was just a homeless girl. She was walking around picking up cigarette butts. I approached her, and she became very agitated with me being there. And it's like, sorry, we've had a couple of people make a complaint about you looking in cars and that sort of stuff. What are you doing? And she goes, oh, okay, I'll leave now. And it's like, that's not what I'm asking you to. I just wanting to know what you're doing here. And she goes, I'm just picking up butts. And my response was, okay, I'm happy for you to do that, but just realise how that looks to other people. I said, you're ducking down in between cars, you're looking in and around cars. How do you think that would be perceived by somebody else? She took a minute and didn't answer me, and I said, do you think it might look to other people that you're looking to break into cars, you're looking to see what they have in their vehicles? And she didn't realise. It was a simple, honest mistake that she didn't realise what her actions were being portrayed as. And I let it go on away and didn't think anything else of it. But it's really important that even though it was nothing suspicious, you still need to look and act on somebody saying something to you.
Yep.
Until you can prove otherwise, act as if it is some sort of a threat.
Yep. I think one of them and I'm pretty sure I'm following this correctly, if I remember correctly. There was, I think it was Walmart or Costco or something like that. There was someone that was going up to people wearing one of their vests that, like had like Walmart or whatever it was, and saying, "Oh, do you own what colour is your car?" kind of thing, saying that something had happened to their car had been hit down in the car park, and stuff like that, or their car was about to get towed. It's been there for too long, they need to get down to their car and stuff like that. They were socially engineering helpless women that were in there, looked like they were shopping on their own, to quickly get down to their vehicles. And what was happening was, as soon as they, okay, yeah, look, I'll work security for them, look, I'll take you down there. What they were doing, as soon as they get down there into the car park, I think they were taking the cars, like they were taking the keys off of them and stuff like that. Once they identify what car theirs one was, I think it was pretty much they were saying that their car park was about to shut, the car's going to get locked in if they can move it, kind of thing, blah blah blah. As soon as they get down there, they're not thinking, because they're putting that fear into them. They're playing on their emotions, that urgency. Then they were taking their car, like keys, stealing their car and stuff like that. And, they were socially engineering people, making it look like they're meant to be there. They had the vest on. They looked like they were a staff member. They were acting like a staff member, but they weren't. So again, it's, just that being vigilant. That it's not just cyber attacks when it comes to social engineering. It's also in person. As we were saying, being vigilant, looking around. As we said about, cigarette butts on the ground, cameras, lenses or caps being left, stuff like that, coffee cups, sitting in a weird spot. Having a look at your electronic devices. If you've got PIN codes, as Daryl was saying, It's not hard for us to walk into a lot of places, and we see it in a lot of places where they've got passwords and stuff printed out, stuck on computer screens. They've got all this information sitting out there. PIN codes, where you type in a PIN code to gain access into a building. I've seen a childcare centre that actually had the code to open the door written in a nice little brass plate that says the code is 6251 or whatever it was, hash, and you gain access into the childcare place. I mean, really? Like, it don't take a whole lot for us to convince them that this is our kid, and stuff like that. It's stupid having the code written out like that. That's what I'm saying. Be vigilant. Look, think. Okay, we can just be talking to you at reception, as Daryl was saying. There's always someone at reception. You go up and you talk to them. Throw them a couple of compliments. Make it seem urgent, like you're trying to get hold of a staff member because their dog's just been hit by a car. You lean over, you're like, it's that the camera, it's this, point at something while you're looking around at passwords because they always leave them sitting out, and stuff like that. So it's about what policies and procedures you have in place for your workplace. And as Darryl was saying, incident reporting. It's better to report an incident and say, yeah, look, okay, I think I might have made a mistake by clicking on this. I don't think this was right. Or, I've noticed this. Is this okay? Is this not okay? Yeah, that's fine. Do it. Because you're not going to get in trouble for it. Because if you try and hide the fact that you did it, then you're going to get in trouble. Honesty, open is always the best policy when it comes to reporting incidents, and stuff like that. So, it's fostering an environment of security awareness, and stuff like that, and preparedness, can mitigate the risks associated with social engineering. And unfortunately, some people are that good at it. Daryl and I convince you that we are YouTube stars. And we're professional.
Yeah, we decided not to drink tonight because we're professional.
We're professionals. And Pat's not only paying us to drink either. But, that's the thing. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you hear. And stuff like that. So, we teach about this stuff. It's not that we're teaching criminals. We're trying to give you a little bit of an insight into what there is, how it's done, what things to look out for. Simple things. Like I said, that email. It looked legit, but just check who it was from. Always treat everything as... it's not a good way to go around your life, as they say. Don't treat everything as suspicious. And always remember that old classic saying: if something's too good to be true,
it is.
It is. It's a fact. It really is. Be paranoid. Be very paranoid. You don't have to be extremely, very, very paranoid, but because then you're just going to be a stress head their whole life and stuff like that. But what we've kind of briefly discussed in here is just the very tip of the iceberg.
Definitely.
Our course, our training, that is probably our course and our training that we do, and stuff like that, is going into more of a deep dive of this stuff. So, if you're kind of interested, if this has piqued your interest and your curiosity and you really want to kind of deep dive and go into that rabbit hole of even OSINT, which has to do with social engineering, then our course is definitely going to be something that interests you. As we were saying, yes, okay, for example, I'm a physical entry specialist. My job is to find weaknesses in the physical locks and some of that, or doors. And I'll give you an example, okay? Daryl and I, we do a pen test in the facility. We use a underdoor tool to gain access in. We get in, and all of a sudden we get stopped by someone. And they ask us, what are you doing here? How are we going to answer? We're going to have to socially engineer this person.
Shit,
one
mate,
of
left
my
my coffee cup at work.
yeah, one of my favourite ones, and as I was saying, because it is something that gets done, and most people wouldn't even think about it, and it explains why you're there. Right? Let's say, for example, Daryl gets into an area with computers, and someone walks in, and Daryl's there behind the computer. They go, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, just having a look, see what computers you run." They go, "Don't seem right. Okay, you should be in here, out." Or someone like me, I get caught in there. "What are you doing in here?" Yeah, I'm here with DALP testing and tagging. I'm here to check the compliance tags on your computers because they're plugged into mains power. Therefore, they have to be tested and tagged. They have to be done by law. Here's my tagging certificate, test and tagging. Here's my tags, my equipment. Look, it's all here. What they don't realise is that I'm actually behind the computers, plugging in rubber duckies into all of them and putting in, other nefarious tools and stuff like that. But I have a legitimate reason, well, what sounds legitimate, as to why I am playing around behind the computer. Because I'm checking the compliance tags on the mains power leads. Because they have to be done by law. Most places is every 12 months for some devices. Laptop, or not laptops, but computers, because they're fixed in a position. They don't usually get moved around. It's every 5 years. So, I could be like, "Oh, yeah, you tagged." No, it's within date. It doesn't expire until next year. So we'll come back through next year and do it. Explains why I'm there.
Yep.
As I was saying, dress up in high vis and walk through. "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I'm just checking all your sprinkler systems, For all I could be wearing, like, one of the guys that do it here, Wormold. They come through and check. "Yeah, no, I'm just checking all your sprinkler systems, make sure. And your fire extinguishers, tags are all up to date. Yeah, no problems." Explains why you're there.
Yep.
It's okay. Yeah, we gain access into it, but if you get caught in there, you have to explain what you're doing there.
Yep.
And that's where your physical security side of things, like gaining access into the facilities, bypassing, bumping, copying keys, whatever it might be. The physical side of things has a big part to do with social engineering, being a physical entry specialist, and then Daryl with being a cyber enthusiast. Social engineering plays into that as well. It's in both parts. Just, cyber, physical security go hand in hand. Physical security and social engineering go hand in hand. Cyber security and social engineering go hand in hand. All of it is one big triangle.
So something that we sort of need to cover, because here at DALP, we're #keep legal. The legalities and the ethical considerations to take in with social engineering. Here in Australia particularly, a lot of the social engineering aspects can be illegal.
Impersonating a security guard?
Impersonating security, impersonating police officers, even just a breach of the Privacy Act. So obtaining information without having the right to do so. While doing it ethically as a job, there's still a lot of things put in place, such as contracts, legal agreements, non-disclosure forms, all that sort of stuff, to help mitigate any misinjustice. But if you're doing it off your own back, 9 times out of 10, it is going to be illegal obtaining that information. Engaging in any deceptive practices without consent will definitely end up getting you put in jail. Understanding those boundaries is a big thing. Working outside of scope on a job will get you possibly put in jail. You need to understand when doing a pen test job what those boundaries are, where and where you cannot go in those facilities, and make sure you've always got it written down. Make sure there's something in black and white to cover your, because that's the big thing with any of this sort of stuff is you need to make sure that you are doing the right thing.
Yep,
You need to make sure that you don't cross any of those lines.
Test and tag that we need to have on electronics for here in Australia, for anything that plugs into mains power.
For organisations, they need to make sure that they're fostering an ethical culture in relation to cybersecurity practices to make sure that they're not breaching their own compliances, because businesses here in Australia particularly have legal requirements to maintain adequate security of the data that they collect and store, whether that is from their customers or within their own internal procedures and policies. So they have to make sure that they don't breach their rights and responsibilities to their clients, whether that's an online store, whether it's physical clients coming in. They have to protect the data as well. I spoke about the Privacy Act. That's a big thing here in Australia in relation to the privacy and data information. So we need to make sure that we are compliant from both a pen testing perspective and from a company perspective. A lot of social engineering tactics continue to grow in a very sophisticated way. So those legalities can become very sophisticated and technical. So we need to make sure that we do practice and adhere to any constraints that we are given.
Yep.
Now that sort of leads into the next thing as well of where are we going from here? What is the future of social engineering and pen testing? Well, we want to have a look at the AI and automation. With the increase of AI learning, it makes it a lot easier for attackers to be able to create really sophisticated scams that are out there to try and trick people into clicking those links. Coders are creating a lot more programs and applications that are bypassing a lot of the common antivirus software and applications that are out there. So we need to stay up to date with that, both from a professional aspect and from an individual aspect as well. That ongoing training needs to continue to happen. With a lot of our life nowadays going onto mobile devices, like I know for myself, with running my own business, I do a lot of it from my phone.
DALP.
Yep. My life is on my phone. I have family photos on there. I have password managers on my phone. Everything is on my phone. We need to make sure that any apps that we download aren't asking for access to that information. Good example is when you log into an app, it may ask you to share your phone, your microphone, and your contacts. You're allowing that third-party provider to have access to your video so they can watch you on their phone at any time. You're giving them access to your contacts. So data brokers that are wanting to get phone numbers for SMS phishing emails or phishing messages. They're things that you, as an individual and a company, need to be mindful of.
And it's not just that; it's also your emails and stuff like that. Because a lot of apps and a lot of services these days, you need to link an email address to it. And if it seems a little bit fussy or sus and you're not quite sure, and you don't want it leaking back to one that you use for your personal information, like your Facebook and stuff like that, or it's you don't want to go using your business account, having a dummy email account where you can use it to sign up for something that you're not quite sure about. Like I don't want this being linked to any of my personal information. Having a fake email account, not a fake one, but a dummy one that has no links to any of your social medias, your business accounts, or anything like that. Just having one in the back pocket so that if something seems a bit weird, you can use it to sign up for. I won't give you any of mine that I have, and Daryl won't give you any of his that he has. But we do have them as a thing that it's in that back pocket. Don't seem a bit right. I don't trust it. I don't want it given my business email or my personal email. I'll use a fake email that I've got on the back pocket.
Yep.
Let's say Chuck Finley, only because of the TV show Burn Notice is why Chuck Finley popped in my head. But Chuck Finley at gmail.com. Okay, well, that's not linked to anything to me. I'm going to use that.
And just a quick comment there. Yeah, you're exactly right, James. Having good offboarding procedures and following those procedures is really, really important. When you have an employee that's no longer working for the business, making sure you get your uniforms back, making sure that they haven't taken any data or information that they shouldn't have, making sure locks get changed, especially if they had access to master keys. A lot of places that still use a physical key to get in and out of businesses, making sure your employees return those keys. Yeah, definitely. And in a digital world, it's great having a digital access card because, you can just jump online and just terminate that straight away. But it's not just that as well. There's a lot of other things that companies need to make sure they do.
Swipe cards.
Yep.
To gain access.
So that's really important. And another thing
ID
with
badges handed in.
Yep. The trends. We've seen it a lot when COVID hit. Remote work, people working from home. That just creates a whole new nightmare for IT departments. We still have a lot of people that work from home in remote jobs. Are they using a VPN to tunnel or something like zero tier, Cloudflare tunnels, any of these types of VPN type products to remote into the physical business location? Are the IT departments making sure that those channels are secured? Who's at home? Who's standing behind that person when they log into that remote server?
Two-factor authentication.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things there that can go wrong with remote work. Are people locking their computers when they get up and walk away from them to go and get a coffee? Who's at their house? Are their friends reliable and trustworthy? Have they got a home office
no
where
touch on my
somebody?
computer, I get a coffee.
Yep. It's one of those things. If they run a home office, have they got clients coming into that office while they have another business page open? There's a lot of things, especially if companies haven't trained those employees on remote work and remote security.
Yep. And two-factor authentication is a big thing these days. Everything is going over the two-factor. I mean, Facebook Messenger on your computer, every single time you bring it up, you have to log back in. For some reason, it's a pain in the butt these days. You used to be able to have your Facebook Messenger logged in the whole time. But now, every time you get out of it, you have to re-log in and you got to two-factor authenticate it with your phone or whatever, and stuff like that. Yes, two-factor authentication can be spoofed and faked, but having good two-factor authentication systems in place, having specialized pass keys, having password managers. So having not using the same password for everything. And remember, the most common password ever used is password. As stupid as that sounds, it's not like the movie Hackers where it's like love, God, something else. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's been a while since I watched the movie. But you know, like it's, and most passwords are the same. You know, 8 letters, 6 to 8 letters all up. You know, or 2 symbols or a symbol. One capital. You know, most people do a boring one. Capital P. You know, the rest of the password in lowercase. O1 hash. You know, like it's silly. So having difficult passwords in order to crack. I mean, Dale and I can talk to you about cracking Wi-Fi passwords, capturing handshakes and stuff like that, and cracking passwords. And some passwords can be quite easy to crack because people use something that they can remember. You know, like their child's name, first name, and their dog's name put together, because it's easy for them to remember. Rather than having, you know, it's easy to remember an actual word than a random mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, and stuff like that. So having all this stuff in place, two-factor authentication, passwords for different passwords for everything. Again, don't go using, as we were saying, the same email address for everything. Have one for your personal, have one for your business, and stuff like that. And putting these things in place so that if one of your, let's say, you know, Daryl's got 5 different email addresses that he uses. Let's say daryl@gmail.com gets compromised. Well, then, you know, that's only linked to one little thing, so the rest of them are fine, and it's not linked to anything bigger. And that's like what we're trying to explain is that's like in the simplest way possible. Is you know, like the remote challenges with, you know, the trends and stuff like that we see. You know, we look at this stuff, as Darren would tell you with cyber stuff. People use the same passwords for everything, as we keep saying. You know, use the same email addresses for everything. Just don't. As Darryl was saying, he's guilty of doing it.
Yeah,
and a lot of businesses as well, they will make you change passwords every 3 months, every 6 weeks,
Yeah,
3 months.
To me, that's a bit controversial. Like, it's one of those things that I've seen over the years where companies try and enforce that every 30 days you must change your password. What do people usually do to remember that password? They'll either add a 1, 2, yeah,
03, 04.
That can be a lot more dangerous than actually just keeping a strong, solid password for 12 months. That's my opinion. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel that, yeah, having or forcing people to change it every month or 30 days or 60 days, 90 days, whatever your policy is put in place, that can be a lot more dangerous because people go, oh, if I've got to change it, what am I going to change it to that I'm going to remember? And they do. They just take the easy way out.
Yep.
Things can be put in place to make it so you can't use the same password within a 6 month period. There's a lot of security procedures that can be put in place to mitigate a lot of that, but people take the easy way out. So that's a bit controversial from my opinion, from seeing that happen a lot. Yeah, feel free to chuck me in the comments if you guys think that I'm wrong. Tell me why.
One of the ones I loved watching, and I was laughing my head off at it. And it's a great form of social engineering, and how you can turn a kind of like a seemingly harmless conversation. There was a news reporter, and they were going around asking people about their passwords. Do you use the same password for everything? Do you use, you know? And they're like, oh yeah. And it's like, oh, you know, what kind of password do you use? He goes, oh, it's, you know, the name of the street I lived in or the town I grew up in, and my dog's name. It's like, oh, what kind of dog do you have? He's got, oh, a little Chihuahua. Oh, that's lovely. And what's his name? Oh, it's Teddy. Ah, okay. And what school did you go to? Oh, I went to blah school. Oh, whereabouts is that? Oh, it's in Maryborough. Ah, thanks. So you just told us that your password is your dog's name and the town you grew up in, and in a seamlessly harmless conversation, we just asked you a couple of questions in a roundabout way and got you to tell us what your dog's name was and what the town it was that you grew up in. And stuff like that. And it was actually, you can find it on YouTube. You can look it up here on YouTube, where the news reporters asking random people on the streets about their passwords, and then they're actually telling them what the passwords are. Like, it is so funny to watch and so interesting to watch, and stuff like that. So, every 6 weeks, the employee just stop and end up. So yeah, as we were saying, a lot of people again with passwords, they'll use the same one, but they change the number at the end. So it'd be like 01, then when they're going to change it again 02, then they're going to change it again 03, and stuff like that. And it's just stupid and outdated. And I kind of do agree with Daryl as well about having a really strong password. And if you believe that your system has been compromised, change your password then. But, having a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols and stuff like that, uppercase, lowercase, two-factor authentication, and stuff like that, is a big, big thing and something that really, really should be, everything's using it these days.
As frustrating as it is to use multi-factor authentication and even things like YubiKeys, having physical keys to gain into systems, as much as they're frustrating to use and a pain to have to continually use to get into something, they are a very good idea to try and minimise attackers. It's as simple as that. The world that we live in at the moment is getting worse. So we need to try and mitigate it as much as possible. So that's sort of everything that I've got from my perspective on social engineering to cover. I know we've had a really long time doing this. Hopefully you guys have got something from this, whether it's just a little bit more information or a better understanding of what social engineering is. Well, let me know if you guys do have any comments, any questions that we can help you answer, or if you've got an opinion on something that we've brought up tonight, feel free to throw that in the comments.
Yep.
And we'll try and negate that.
As I was saying, this at the start, as we explained at the start of this live stream, this is like a little dip into the water of what social engineering is about and why and how effective it is and how scary it is. And this is why it is a big part of our training. So if you really are interested in deep diving into this and learning a lot more about it, we highly recommend our training. So if you're here in Australia and you run a business, you run an organisation, or you have a company or anything like that, booking us in for an in-person training. So not only do we cover physical entry methods, so simple bypasses that anyone can learn that are super effective to gain access into buildings. We train you on that, the how to defend against those forms of attack, some of the simple hacking tools that we have, and tools that we have that you can use. Anyone can actually purchase and use. So ESP32 keys that we stamp into RFID readers to steal credentials and then create our own. And you actually have a hands-on go at these equipment. You just have a go at playing around with our Flipper Zero, the Proxmarts, and all the other cheap cloners that we've got for RFID. You play around with some of our hacking tools that we've got. You have a go at picking locks, bypassing locks, the bobs, the dob, the door brutality, as we call it. You can have a go at all the attacks on a door. So our in-person course is a great investment for any company, business, organisation. And for those of you that are really, really interested in learning this, but you don't want it as part of a business organisation, we will have our online course available. It's not available just yet. We're still in the process of working on that because it's not a quick 5-minute thing. There's a lot of work to go into it, and as this live stream tonight has kind of explained, this is just one topic of multiple sections in our online course, and stuff like that. So if you are interested, keep an eye out for our course. Again, we have our private one that we will be doing online, and we also have our other one through KSEC. So we are now in partnership with KSEC Global, and we'll be running our training through them. And again, this social engineering is going to be a big part of that. Again, if you want to ask any more questions, go into some of the other topics that we discussed. We do have our private Discord server, so you can get access to that. It is a subscription one to, as we say earlier in the stream as well. A lot of the stuff that we won't discuss in detail on YouTube to put out there just for anyone and everyone because anyone can watch stuff on YouTube. So the little bit more edgy-ish stuff, stuff that we just don't want out there is just general knowledge to anybody and stuff like that. You can access it through our Discord server. So you can get a subscription to that through our website, dalp.com.au. or through the channel memberships here on YouTube. So the second level, the channel memberships, you get extra perks, and you get access to our private Discord server as well, where Daryl and I put stuff up on there. As I said, James Randolph, he's one of the administrators on our server. As I was saying, when he has fun playing around with scammers, he does put up some of the stuff like that, and is great for answering questions and anything like that. So there are many, many ways for you to learn a bit more about this stuff. And yeah, you can always reach out to myself or Daryl. You can reach out to me through any of our social medias. You can contact Daryl. Daryl, do you want to tell them how they can contact you?
So you can go to my website, daryljackray.services. Any social media, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, most of the social medias. But look, you can always just throw a comment in one of these videos, and James is always trailing through them. And we're happy to help out where we can. We're all about making sure that the information gets out there, and it's reliable information as well. There's just so much out there on the internet. We want to try and promote information that is adequate for people to understand and be able to digest. It's just one of those things. Keeping people informed is one of the most important things.
We're about education. At the end of the day, we are first and foremost about education. And even if you know, hey Dana, even if you know a lot already, we had trying to work out how I can explain this without.
We're not experts in any means in these fields. There's a lot of other people out there that are highly more trained in these aspects, and we welcome anyone to put their 2 cents worth in and be able to provide knowledgeable information for you guys. It's not all about us sitting here telling you this is how it should be, when there's other people out there that have more qualifications, have done a lot more hands-on stuff than what we have. So it's feel free to pass on your knowledges and your experiences to others as well.
Yep. I mean, even still, like, when we train the military contractors, there's a guy there that is pretty good at lock picking, actually. He picked open some locks that, that we took along with us that, weren't for beginners and stuff like that. They're more of like a next level up. Some spools and some serrated pins and stuff like that. And he popped them open. Took him a little while, but he managed to pop them open. We're like, okay, he goes, I like lock picking. He goes, I find it interesting and I do it as a hobby and stuff like that. But there's parts of the training that we did that even he was like, oh, I didn't know about this. I didn't know we could actually do this. Oh my God, that is so much easier than what I actually thought. Like the head of security, when I taught him how to decode a Digilock, a Lockwood Digilock by feel. I said, he goes, how would you attack this? And you can actually decode these by touching them. And he's like, no, you can't, can you? And I'm like, yeah, have a go. And I showed him what to do. And he's like, he actually decoded it. And he goes, oh my God. He's actually blown away. He's like, I didn't realize actually that was a weakness. He goes, I've seen them. We've used, places have used them. He's like, no tools whatsoever. He goes, a little bit of knowledge and oh my God, you can actually decode them by feel. He goes, as soon as you explain, he goes, I could actually feel the slight difference in the numbers. And he got it open and he was just blown away. It's something that he would never even thought of. But, that's part of the great thing about our in-person course is we don't just stand there or we don't just sit there like we are here where we talk about it. You actually get hands-on. That's a great thing about our in-person courses, is the hands-on aspect of it. We don't just say to you, this is how you pick a lock. Stick a tensioner in and you get a rake and you go boom, 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 and you get an open. No. We tell you how to do it, but then we're like, okay, here's the lock, here's the tensioner, here's the pick. We want you to open it. And you actually have a go. Or this is how you bump a lock. You open it. You have a go at an under door tool. What's this for? Oh, it's called an under door tool. Be surprised how many doors. Because of fire code, boom, and they have a go at it. Slipping latches and stuff like that. And you get hands-on. And so then at the end of it, and the feedback that we always get from our in-person courses is, I never thought of that. And it's like I've seen it in movies, but I never realised actually how easy it is. And the amount of times Daryl and I hear, I have that lock at my house. I use that lock. And then it's 2 seconds later, I used to have that lock. I'm changing that as soon as I get home. We talk about keys. One of the things we love doing in our courses. People always leave their keys sitting around. So we take photos of them and then we decode their key in front of everyone and then we cut them a working key to their house and stuff like that. And we actually give it to them. Or we say to them, actually, no, look, you can have a go. We bring our key machines in. You can actually cut your own working key from the one that we just decoded. So they actually get hands-on with this stuff and it just blows people's minds how easy a lot of these methods are. It's not so far-fetched. As we were saying with the social engineering tonight, it's not that far-fetched. There's simple things that, that we do that is so effective. And as we said, the best way to understand how to defend against something is learning how that is actually done. Because at the end of the day, you have a better understanding. You can learn how to swim by reading about how to swim and practice whilst on a floor, but you're not going to actually learn unless you jump in the water. Because it's trying to put, what you read and what you see into, real world applications. It's not until you get your hands on and have a go at it that you have a better understanding of how it actually works and what to look out for, and stuff like that. We get it with security guards when Daryl trains them and stuff like that. They learn how to be security guards. They learn about all this stuff. But then we say to them, it's like, okay, pat me down. What do you find? And it's like, oh, what about the lock picks that we've got up under our arm? It's like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, look, you just waved us down with a wand and you didn't pick up the lock picks.
Band-aids work wonders.
Yep. And especially the little escape breaks that we were making that we use in classes that people have a go with that don't get picked up. But it's things like that, hands-on, practical, is the best way to learn. And, the best way to understand how this can be used in a criminal way is to learn about it, have a go in a legal way yourself, so you have a better comprehension of it. And don't think, this won't happen to me. Oh, she'll be right. That is one of the scariest things around, to me anyway, is people say, oh, she'll be right, it won't happen to me.
But it's really common here in Australia. It's ridiculous the amount of people that don't think that it's going to happen to them.
Yep.
It sure does.
I get it all the time, oh, that wouldn't happen to me, that wouldn't happen to me. And I've had people say to me, oh, when I'm like, don't leave your keys laying around. Oh, why? No one would ever do that. And I'll come back 10 minutes later, I'm like, there's your house key. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I copied your key. Oh, I'm like, yeah. So much for you saying it won't happen to me. And they're like, oh, yeah, but you do that for a job. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And another good way to help you better understand, not only by doing our courses, but as we always say, and as Daryl and I always say, hiring people like us to test it. If you're a bit worried that, this might not be right, hiring pen testers are a great way. Why wait until something major happens? And a weakness that you might not have thought about? You hire us, we find the weaknesses, we tell you about the weaknesses, you fix the weaknesses that we find and we exploit, and stuff like that. We don't want to get at the thing is, we don't want to get in. It sounds a bit counterproductive, doesn't it, Daryl? To a lot of people. People are like, oh, your job is to get in. Actually, our job is to get caught. Our job is to get found. Our job is to not be able to get in.
And that's the thing, like, people don't understand that if people find the right policies, procedures, they're taking that bit extra time and going, well, that doesn't quite seem right, or it doesn't fit, or they have that gut instinct of, this doesn't seem to be right.
Turn it off now.
Follow it up. Do something about it. Whether that's ask more questions, ask for credentials, double check with, are they supposed to be here? Do we have a login register that this person's signed in on? There's a lot of things that you can do to try and satisfy your own curiosity. Are people going to be pissed with you about it? Yeah, probably. But you know within yourself that you've done the right thing if something unforeseen was to happen.
Yep. Have multiple backups in place. Don't just rely on one thing to protect yourself. Have multiple things in place to protect yourself. As we were saying earlier, if you work for a company, you work for a business, and you think that you might have just accidentally leaked something, or you might have opened up something you shouldn't have, own up to it straight away, pass it on to the higher ups, and report. The more that we find weaknesses, the more that you find vulnerabilities, the better the policies and procedures get amended and fixed into stopping it. You have to find these weaknesses in order to be able to defend against them. And as Daryl was saying, everything's always updating, everything's always upgrading, equipment is getting more and more sophisticated, attacks are getting more and more sophisticated, and trying to keep up on top of it all is extremely hard. You can be, professionals in a field, but at the end of the day, stuff, especially with online attacks and cyber and social engineering, you can never be an absolute master of it because it's always changing. What is, state of the art today is ancient tomorrow. It really is. That's how quick things change.
Well, look at the Flipper Zero stuff, for example. All the small microboard stuff, they are constantly changing. There's always new devices coming out. You see it on YouTube all the time where someone's created a Flipper device that's going to be the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
There's always improvements Technology is consistently changing, and people's mindsets change as well. The people that are behind these innovations are constantly looking at what's out there and how can they make it better? How can they make your job as a pen tester easier?
Yep. So if you've got any quick questions before we do wrap this one up, because it is like 1 o'clock in the morning here, almost. And we started at 9:30, so we've been on here for a while. But it just
We've been
goes to
raving
show
on for a
you,
while.
this goes to show you how we've only given you as a taste tester of what we do when it comes to teaching about social engineering. And we've already been on it for a long time. So you can tell that our course is, we go into a lot more information and stuff like that. So, yeah, we just try to give you a little taste test of what we will be putting out there on our online courses and stuff like that. But it's not just social engineering that we do. As was said, we go over physical security, we go over cyber, and stuff like that, all the devices that we play around with. And, we go from simple stuff right through to more advanced. And we're always trying to upgrade and always trying to find new weaknesses and new exploits and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, as well, and a lot of people don't realize, is a lot of the times it doesn't matter how good, and as we kind of explained in this whole live stream tonight, it doesn't matter how good your security is. It's only as strong as your weakest link. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, that is people. It's the weakest link in any form of security. And a lot of times, even if you have great electronic locks, there's always mechanical override. Most of the time, there's a mechanical override. And that's always your weakest link. Or the spring-loaded latch. Which is one we love, because when we do training at businesses, they're like, "Oh, yeah, how'd you get through outdoor there? Because we've got a buy lock, we've got an RFID." I'm like, yeah, but you got electronic strike, and that's a spring-loaded latch, and there you go, doors open. Oh, I'm like, yeah, you might want to put something over to shield that. They go overboard and think about all this high-tech stuff, but sometimes it's the basics that you got to get right.
Yep.
I was trying to quickly catch up with some
Any
comments
final
here.
questions before we sort of wrap it up? Or I know we've covered a lot, and it is a lot to take on board. And as James said, there's still a lot more to cover with social engineering and other aspects of social, like OSINT, the whole impact of that incident reporting. What happens after there is a breach? That's another whole can of worms in itself.
Yep. And a great way to learn about that is to book in our courses. This isn't just a pun to sell our courses to you, but it is super important, and that's why we do this. This is why we say for here in Australia, if you have a business, a corporation, or anything like that, hiring us in and I love the password. Hiring us to come in, train your staff, and as we said, constantly upgrading. If you get staff turnover, training your new staff, and stuff like that is extremely important. That's why a lot of businesses have mandatory training that you have to do every 6 or 12 months. And if new staff members come in, they have to do it. And stuff like that, quickly to get things in place. Rocky 2025.
Have you been downloading password lists again, James?
Actually, speaking of password lists, you can literally download. Should we say that?
Well, that's what the Rocky 25 list is.
Actually, I haven't got the 25. I got the older one.
Yeah.
I haven't updated it because I lost Carly off my laptop. I still can't get it back up. I don't know what's going on with it. So, Next time you're down or whenever I go up north, gonna have to get it all fixed up.
Yep.
But yeah, so if you are interested in learning more, definitely our courses are great. Don't forget the private Discord server. It's subscription based. It's not expensive. We don't charge you an absolute fortune. As we were saying, that's to keep out the, I can say it, riffraff. The young kids that trying to get up to no good. It's to keep them out. But we do share some information on there and discuss things that we don't discuss publicly here on YouTube. And yeah, as we're saying, as we said before, you can contact Daryl if you have any more questions. There is a link to his contact information down in the description, and also mine as well. As I said, contact us here on YouTube, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. Twitter, I don't really go on much anymore. And Mastodon, I kind of don't really go on much anymore. Still there. I'm still pop on once in a blue moon, but I don't get notifications, so I don't go on there. You can send us an email at darkartslockpicking@gmail.com. And yes, as we discussed earlier, don't trust Gmails, but that one you can trust for me. Because as I explained earlier in the live stream, go back and watch it. Or you can contact me at 044876660. Yes, I do put my phone number out there. It's a business phone, so you can send messages through, call up. We've had people call in during live streams and chat whilst paying us to drink. So if you do want to support us as well, don't forget to make sure you are subscribed. So the best way for us to get information out there is for you to share it. Make sure you're subscribed, turn notification bell on, that way you can stay up to date. And when we go live like this, which hopefully we'll get a few more coming up, just work schedules have been a bit crazy for both of us. And once things mellow out and seem to get about right, hopefully we can get some more of these talks going. What else have we got in the works? We were discussing earlier, Alex, I thought it'd be a pretty cool idea about having a lockpicking / hacking camping thing, but that's miles off in the future.
Yep.
For here in Australia. But thinks he's 16 still. Okay, I'm just part of the conversation, I think.
Did you want to quickly touch? James asked a question earlier about the wrong strike plates on electric locks. Did you want to touch on that, James? Or
Which one was that? I was going to quickly go through the backup comments so I can see. Where's my mouth gone?
about 3 or 4 comments up.
Alright, there's my mouse. I hear they often use wrong strike plates, particularly on electronic locks. Yes. So, unfortunately, a lot of places, and I have seen it too many times to count. I've actually known people to modify strike plates as well. So, if you have a large facility where you have a lot of doors, and a lot of them are electronic controlled. They say, oh, well, we need a strike plate. If they're electronic handles where you can't pull on them unless the code puts in and stuff like that. So they go, right, well, we've got 200 doors that we need strike plates for. But these locks are using this type and these locks are using that type. Can we get one that just fits all of them? Like that one size fits all. It's not. It's not the way it actually is. One size does not fit all. But unfortunately, a lot of places do that. So what happens is the door's then not installed correctly because it's not the correct strike plate to the latch, so that the guard bolt plunger is not depressed. And it allows the latch to be slipped or loitered. I have seen ones where the building is moved and the latch isn't engaging properly. And it's a steel frame or, it's a big heavy door and they can't quite move it. So what do? They take the strike plate off and they file it. and file it down to make it bigger, so that way then it's got a little bit more room for when the door moves, because of the building moves and stuff like that. Again, it creates a weakness, and that allows us to Lloyd or slip the door latch. Even big gaps in between the doors is another one. They can all be, create that. So yes, a lot of places don't use the correct strike plates because, yeah, they might use different door hardware like locks on the doors, but in order to be able to quickly go through and lock, put heaps of handles and stuff in 200 doors, they just go, well, this strike plate is big enough where it does that system and it does that system, so we'll just use that one. Does both. We put them all through. And yes, I have known of businesses that have filed down strike plates to allow a bit more room. I've seen it because, me being me, I look like I'm casing the joint whenever I go in there. I'm like, oh, what hardware they got? Oh, okay, yep. And I look at the strike plate. I'm like, it's got some file marks in it. That one's been filed. I also do that to see if anyone's shoved anything in there. And I also do that as well to see where the magnetic sensors are. If they've got magnetic sensors in the doors, which set off an alarm the door's been opened. You can sometimes see because they've got a plastic plug over them. So you can tell where they are if they're not hidden in. And you just stick a magnet over it and you bypass that magnetic sensor. So yeah. Doing a HKS systems, doing a live. Might check them out. Yeah, I might jump across and have a look if I get a chance. But yeah, so hopefully that quickly answers that one for you. Always use the correct hardware for that system. Yep. So I think that's everyone's questions. So as we were saying, and Daryl was saying earlier, we're trying to not convince you. We would love to see you help support this channel. I think we're 2 off. We might have jumped up. I'll have to have a look. Where are we? Yep, we are 2. We're at 4,958. So we're nearly at 4,960. But we are trying to hit 5 or over 5k subscribers. We will do a big giveaway once we hit 5k. I think I joked around a few videos back that I might give away Daryl. Yep. And stuff like that. It might, we might give away. We might do a couple of giveaways. Might give away some subscriptions to the private Discord server again. Maybe even to the DALP online course as a beta tester, and stuff like that. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do with the giveaway, but yeah, we're not that far off really. So yeah, please share our videos around. Tell your family, friends to come and support DALP. Businesses, share them with people you work with. Tell them, this isn't just a Locksport channel. This is a physical and cyber channel. It's got something for everyone. We also do other random bits and pieces. Does Daryl come
I'm
with
not
a gift?
Dr. James. Well, if you have one with Jameson, might be able to work it out.
It comes with a QR code that if you click on, you get fished.
Rickroll.
But yeah, another way you can help support us and help get our mission out there and stuff like that is, as we were saying, if you want to, we never tell you to or beg for it, but there is the tip jar over there. Or there's, as we said, the channel memberships where you get extra perks. If you like Pat and you pay us enough to drink on live stream, like he did before we went to Adelaide, and we ended up going through so much alcohol. So much. You get your own Pat badge that he got. And he actually won some giveaway stuff as well. He won a Dark Access set. So And that's another great way to support the channel is by heading over to the website and purchasing some of the awesome products that we've got. Because
We
not
don't
only
mind
do
drinking.
I carry the stuff that we stock and we use, such as the bike and Slim Jim bands that we produce, even Daryl carries the stuff that we produce and we use. As I was just saying earlier, the Dark Access set is a great set of keys for Australia, and he was just using them quite recently. I use mine all the time. So anyway, yep. Fold up really small. Yeah, I'll do the customs declaration for Daryl as well as send him overseas. Damaged goods.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who'd like to see me with no return stamp on there.
I'll just treat instead of marking it as return most economical route possible. I'll just put treat as abandoned. So anyway, thank you all for checking out the live stream and staying around. As I said, we will be diving into this a lot more in our courses, and hopefully doing a few more live streams. So any other topics you want us to cover, whether you want us to go into OSINT a bit more, whether you want us to go into physical security stuff, being a security guard, being a bodyguard, just paying us to drink on camera and say some funny stuff and act like idiots.
Yep.
Anything like that, let us know.
If you want, we can organise to have some of the applications, like we can go over installations of Kali. We can have a look at some of the tools on Kali. As I mentioned earlier in the chat, CSI Linux. This one will be right up James' alley, bit of Dragon OS for SDRs, any of that sort of stuff. I have about 5 Linux operating systems that I run in virtual machines for a lot of the work that I do. If that's something you guys are interested in, let us know. We can organise a live stream with a screen share and go over some of the tools, what they're used for. If that's something you guys are interested in looking at.
No, my hair is not going down again. It's staying up. But yeah, no. So the content that we might find interesting ourselves, you might not. So the best way for us to bring you content that you would like to see and that is interesting for you, is to let us know. We got a lot of requests for social engineering stuff, so that's why we brought you this one, and stuff like that. So, as I keep saying about the private Discord server, the subscription based, James is over there. He is a whiz when it comes to a lot of radio stuff. More, I will admit, I don't really know a whole lot about radio hacking. I know enough where to a lay person they're like, "Oh, cool, you can do that." I'm like, "Yeah, I can do this." But really, I'm just like, it's like playing 3 chords on a guitar. To anyone who doesn't play guitar, oh, you're a rock star. It's that kind of thing. James is a great knowledge when it comes to radio stuff. And yeah, he's one of the admins on there. So to chat to him, gaining access through the Discord server is a great way to do that. Daryl, when it comes to website stuff, when it comes to some cybersecurity, security guards, stuff like that. Physical entry stuff when it comes to me. The Discord server is a great platform where we put up a lot of stuff. And of course, you can always come on there and just have a random chat like we've done we've done before. We've had random chats just on the Discord, the video calls where like this, and everyone else can hop in if they want. We can even do round table discussions where you wouldn't just have Daryl and myself, you'll have maybe James join on there as well. And stuff like that. If you want to see a roundtable discussion here on YouTube with Daryl, myself, and James, let us know. Your feedback is what drives us and helps us bring out more important content and more educational content and stuff that you want to see. We'll still do content that we love, but we're about education, and what you want to learn about is what we want to teach. So we are going to wrap this one up, since it is now just gone 1 o'clock. Thank you to everyone who joined in on the chat, and spoke up about shipping Daryl as a prize overseas.
Yep.
Mr. Buzzy memes, yes, I got to work on that one. Daryl. That one's just for Pocket Woman. But yeah, any last message you want to put, Daryl, before we sign off with our usual?
It's one of those things. I know we've put out a lot of content tonight and it's been really long. The best thing about being on YouTube, you can go back and watch it over and over and over again if you missed something, and be able to sit down and do your own research from it. Don't just sit there and take what we've said as gospel. Do your own research into it. We can provide you with links and information if you want to advance yourself. We're all about pointing you guys in the right direction and maintaining that relationship and making sure you guys understand and know what you need to know.
Not just for PW. The Buzzy, not just for PW. But yeah, that's...
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, as Daryl said, yeah. So, as always, don't forget to check out all links in the description down below. If you like what you see, please hit that thumbs up. I hope we got a lot of support tonight. Really do. Don't forget to check out all of our other content that is available up here on YouTube. And yeah, as always, do you want to say it tonight, Daryl?
No, keep it bloody legal.
Keep it bloody legal. So, till next time, cheers, guys.
All right. See ya.